Chapter 286. 8,500 points. 9,000 points. My God! This is going against the heavens. Will she break the 10,000 point mark? The last person who managed to accumulate 10,000 points in the Alliance hunt was a few hundred years ago, right? That person was a spy sent by the Qi dynasty of the Hunglio galaxy to obtain the Sky Sun fruit. He is not considered a member of the Alliance. If you really want to know who has managed to accumulate 10,000 points in the Alliance hunt, you have to go back even further in history. When He Mingxi's points broke the 9,000 mark, not only were the disciples of the various sects shocked, even the various sect leaders were shocked. At this moment, even the deputy Alliance leader of the mid-divine transformation stage, who did not seem to care much about the results of the Lightning Sword sect disciples because of Zhou Donghuang's tone, was now attracted to He Mingxi. My God! She's still taking the brains out of her space ring. How many beasts has she killed? Did she really kill them all alone? Isn't this too much? Who on earth is she? As more and more people paid attention to He Mingxi, someone finally recognized her. She is He Mingxi, the daughter of the Autumn Valley head of the Lightning Sword sect. He Mingxi? No wonder I thought her back looked familiar. It's her. But, does she have the ability to accumulate so many points in the Alliance hunt? If it's just luck, isn't her luck a little too good? It's definitely not just luck. Good luck is one thing, her ability is definitely not that simple. Perhaps someone else gave her their gains as well? The crowd was in an uproar, and the sounds of discussion rose one after another. TSK, Bailey Feiyang, it looks like you're not fated to be second, and I'm not fated to be first either. Hu Jingshan stood beside Bailey Feiyang, shaking his head as he sighed. I've heard of He Mingxi before. Among the younger generation of the Lightning Sword sect, she's not considered one of the best, but she's only slightly above average. I didn't expect her to obtain so many brains this time. If it's really her own, I admire her, Bailey Feiyang said. Hu Jingshan shook his head again. It's basically impossible. Even for us, no matter how lucky we are, the most we can get is around 9,000 points. As for the tens of thousands of points, that is no longer a matter of luck. After all, there are only 3 months. Unless I head to a place where a large number of ultimate Dharma beasts gather, it will be difficult to obtain tens of thousands of points in just 3 months. Yes. Bailey Feiyang nodded and acknowledged Hu Jingshan's words in a rare friendly manner. It's over 10,000. Very soon, He Mingxi's points broke the 10,000 mark. However, at this moment, not only did the atmosphere not continue to be high, it gradually quietened down. It's definitely not her alone. It must have been someone else from the Lightning Sword sect who helped her. They might even have given up their own spoils of war. I think so too. I really didn't expect someone to be so noble. Is he planning to give up the right to buy rare pills from the Alliance? Femme fatale, femme fatale. I don't know which idiot actually dared to buy rare pills and other precious items from the Alliance just for a woman. Now, basically no one, including the various sect leaders, thought that He Mingxi had obtained so many points alone. Even the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing, and He Mingxi's father, He Jin, thought the same. 10,825 points. This was He Mingxi's final result, and it was a stunning result. Many people even thought that there was definitely more than one person who had given up their spoils of war to He Mingxi. At this time, even the old man, who was the deputy Alliance leader, looked at He Mingxi. Among these beasts of yours, how many people's spoils of war do you have? Don't worry, even if you say so, your results are still valid. I'm just curious. Since when did the disciples of the Lightning Sword sect become so united? I'm afraid that at least some of them have given up the chance to buy rare items from the Alliance. The more the old man spoke, the more he looked at He Mingxi. At this moment, even the others looked at He Mingxi curiously. Even the disciples of the Lightning Sword sect were no exception. They all thought that many of their fellow disciples had given their spoils of war to He Mingshi. 2 people. Without any hesitation, as soon as the old man finished speaking, He Mingshi said frankly, "This is my and De Zhuang's points added together. My own points are only slightly more than 6,700 points." As soon as He Mingshi said this, many people were shocked. They had originally thought that her points had been accumulated with the help of many people, but now it seemed that it had been accumulated by the 2 of them together. Furthermore, her actual points were slightly more than 6,700 points. This had already surpassed Shimen Wanwan of the colored glass sect. I see. He Jin suddenly realized that his daughter's points included her and De Zhuang's. This was no wonder. At this time, De Zhuang stepped forward and said, "In my space ring, there are still 200 beasts of the late Dharma stage. I can accumulate 2,000 points." Senior sister said that these 2,000 points, if nothing goes wrong, should give me the right to buy rare items from the Alliance. As De Zhuang said this, he gave a silly smile, and no one doubted the veracity of his words. In the Alliance hunt, to obtain the right to buy rare items from the Alliance, the points required were not fixed. Instead, there was a limit to the number of participants. Only the top 1,000 people in the Alliance hunt could obtain the right to buy. Most of the time, the top 1,000 people in the Alliance hunt would have accumulated between 1,500 and 2,000 points. In the past few hundred years of history, there had never been a person in the top 1,000 of the Alliance hunt who had accumulated more than 2,000 points. Because of this, He Mingshi had left 2,000 points for De Zhuang. With these points, he would definitely be able to squeeze into the top 1,000 of the Alliance hunt. It was also because of this that the top 1,000 people in the Alliance hunt could obtain the right to buy rare items from the Alliance. Therefore, even the ultimate Dharma adepts of the various sects would not easily give up the large amounts of spoils that they had killed in the Alliance hunt. This was because they, too, wanted to fight their way into the top 1,000. Although it was easy for them to kill ultimate Dharma beasts, they were fast, and their efficiency in finding ultimate Dharma beasts was also high. Because killing an ultimate Dharma beast only gave them 10 points, they needed to kill many ultimate Dharma beasts. In 3 months, unless they were extremely lucky, they could barely kill around 200 ultimate Dharma beasts, which was enough to ensure that they would be able to squeeze into the top 1,000 of the Alliance hunt. Even ultimate Dharma adepts were so stingy, not to mention the Dharma adepts of the various sections. Very few of them would easily give up the points they had. "You still have 2,000 points?" The old man was stunned for a moment, then he looked at De Zhuang and asked, "That means, the points that you have accumulated are actually not much less than this girl? You also have more than 6,000 points?" "Yes." De Zhuang continued to smile and nod. De Zhuang's honesty made it impossible for anyone to doubt his intentions. Because of this, many people were shocked. They had not expected that 2 people from the Lightning Sword sect would have such outstanding result. Haha, at this time, the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing, laughed heartily and looked at He Jin. "Valley Head He, this time, your Autumn Valley has brought honor to the Lightning Sword sect." "Good, very good." Yu Yuqing smiled brightly. The gloomy mood that had been clouded by Zhou Donghuang's bad luck had disappeared at this moment. "They are both Autumn Valley disciples of the Lightning Sword sect?" Yu Yuqing's words also caused many people to look at He Jin in shock. Of course, although most people believed De Zhuang and He Mingshi's words and felt that De Zhuang and He Mingshi were both strong and lucky, there were still a few people who felt that De Zhuang's words were exaggerated and did not think that the 2 disciples of the Lightning Sword sect would be able to obtain so many points. However, no matter what they thought, it did not affect anything. He Mingshi had more than 10,000 points, so she should still be in first place. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, De Zhuang received his space ring and took out the brains of 200 late Dharma beasts, successfully accumulating 2,000 points. Seeing this, most of the disciples of the Lightning Sword sect looked envious. I knew that junior sister Mingxi and junior brother Dezhuang left together. I didn't think that they would be so lucky. If I had known, I would have followed behind them. They all felt that regardless of whether it was he Mingxi or Dezhuang, they were able to accumulate so many points purely because of their good luck. After Dezhuang, it was finally Zhou Donghuang's turn. Originally, Zhou Donghuang was no longer the center of attention, but now that he Mingxi and Dezhuang's points had shocked everyone present, there was still a large number of people who had not had time to turn their attention to Zhou Donghuang. Although this Zhou Donghuang is very strong, he is unlucky. I'm afraid that his gains may not even be as good as that big guy from the Lightning Sword sect called Dezhuang. I think so too. Even the Lightning Sword sect, from the sect leader Yu Yuqing to the ordinary Dharma disciples, did not have high hopes for Zhou Donghuang. At this time, everyone's attention was still focused on Zhou Donghuang. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Zhou Donghuang received his space ring and began to take out his gains from the Guiyao planet. Batch after batch of demon beasts' heads were taken out from the inside. The first brains that he took out were those of late Dharma beasts. This, as for the person in charge of recording, after counting the brains of the late Dharma beasts, he was dumbfounded. The brains of late Dharma beast. One brain is worth 10 points, and he has actually accumulated more than 3,400 points? 4 late Dharma disciples to hunt late Dharma beasts on the Guiyao planet. It was basically the same as ultimate Dharma disciples hunting ultimate Dharma beasts. In fact, because the late Dharma disciples mainly targeted ultimate Dharma beasts, it was already good enough for them to accumulate more than 1,000 points from the beasts they killed. After all, they were not like ultimate Dharma disciples, who only focused on ultimate Dharma beasts. What he did not know was that Zhou Donghuang only killed late Dharma beasts that he killed casually. He had never killed late Dharma beasts that were within his line of sight. Otherwise, the brains of late Dharma beasts would definitely be worth more than 3,000 points. Chapter 287. Zhou Donghuang, a late Dharma adept of the Lightning Sword sect, had killed more than 3,000 late Dharma beasts in the Alliance hunt. What did this mean? Even in the long history of the Alliance, there had never been a late Dharma adept who had killed more than 300 beasts of the same level in the Alliance hunt. In the history of the Alliance, even ultimate Dharma adepts who participated in the Alliance hunt rarely killed more than 300 ultimate Dharma beasts. After all, there were only 3 months. Someone said, late Dharma adepts would definitely prioritize killing ultimate Dharma beasts. Could it be that Zhou Donghuang's luck is so bad that he did not meet many ultimate Dharma beasts and could only kill late Dharma beasts? If that's the case, it makes sense. Looks like Zhou Donghuang's luck is really not that good. He met many late Dharma beasts but only a few ultimate Dharma beasts. Now, most of the people present felt that this was the reason why Zhou Donghuang had killed so many late Dharma beasts. Zhou Donghuang's luck was bad. He did not meet many ultimate Dharma beasts, and all he met were late Dharma beasts. What a pity! Even the group of Dharma adepts of the Lightning Sword sect felt that it was a pity. With Zhou Donghuang's ability, unless he was unlucky, this would not have happened. Junior brother Donghuang's luck is really bad, isn't it? All he met were late Dharma beasts. While the disciples of the Lightning Sword sect felt that it was a pity, there were also many people present who were gloating. So what if he's strong? If he's unlucky, he won't be able to accumulate many points. Among these people, there was the disciple of the Yuanming order, Zhong Qingkai, but most of them were people who did not interact with Zhou Donghuang. They all had one thing in common, and that was that they were jealous of those who were more outstanding than themselves. No matter who it was, they were jealous. The more outstanding one was, the more jealous they were. And because these people were usually so busy with jealousy, their training was affected. Under this vicious cycle, it was difficult for anyone to achieve great things. Jealousy was the devil. This saying was actually not wrong at all. Hu Jingshan. Do you really think that someone would be so unlucky as to meet more than 300 late Dharma beasts, but only a few ultimate Dharma beasts? It was rare for Bailey Feiyong to take the initiative to ask Hu Jingshan. In fact, he already had an answer in his heart. He just wanted to ask Hu Jingshan to see what he thought. I don't think it's possible either. Hu Jingshan shook his head, looking at Zhou Donghuang's back with a gleam in his eyes. I just feel that this Zhou Donghuang might surprise everyone. I have a very strong intuition, Hu Jingshan said. The other side, faced with the misunderstanding of the crowd, Zhou Donghuang did not explain himself. Instead, he continued to take out the brains of the beasts from his space ring. From now on, the beasts he took out were all brains of ultimate Dharma beasts. From the start, everyone in the Lightning Sword sect, including everyone else, had thought that Zhou Donghuang would not be able to produce many brains from ultimate Dharma beasts. However, as time passed, they were all dumbfounded. Not long after, Zhou Donghuang took out the brains of hundreds of ultimate Dharma beasts. The brains of hundreds of ultimate Dharma beasts. What kind of concept was that? According to the rules of the Alliance Hunt, when a late Dharma disciple killed an ultimate Dharma beast and brought out its brain, he would be able to accumulate 100 points. 100 heads of beasts of the ultimate Dharma stage would give the late Dharma Alliance disciples 10,000 points in total. Indeed. Seeing this, Hu Jingshan smiled. My intuition was right. This is really scary. Hundreds of brains of ultimate Dharma beasts and more than 300 brains of late Dharma beasts. I'm convinced. It's not over yet. At this time, Bailey Feiyong reminded him. Indeed, it was not over yet. Now, Zhou Donghuang continued to take out the brains of beasts from his space ring, and they were all brains of ultimate Dharma beasts. Because of this, those who had long been scared out of their wits tensed up and held their breaths. They stared at Zhou Donghuang intently, wanting to see how many brains of ultimate Dharma beasts he had killed. 128, 136, 152. Now, many people were helping Zhou Donghuang tally up his gains from the Guiyao planet this time. More accurately, it was the brains of ultimate Dharma beasts that he had brought out. 200. When the 200th head of the ultimate Dharma beast appeared before the eyes of the crowd, everyone could only feel their hearts twitch violently. This Zhou Donghuang, was he done yet? Based on the number of brains that he had taken out so far, if they were converted into points, they would be worth more than 23,000, right? And it seemed like he was not done yet? How is this possible? Now, even Luo Qinghan was looking at Zhou Donghuang's back in shock. At this moment, a hoarse voice rang out in her mind. 4 late Dharma adepts, even if they have an ultimate Dharma spirit weapon, to instantly kill ultimate Dharma beasts, they must at least train their Dharma power to the stage of Dharma power control and master the technique of Dharma power control. This was what the young man in white, Zhuge Haotian, had said to her, and she had always remembered it. In the process of the Alliance Hunt, those who had the ability to instantly kill ultimate Dharma beasts were undoubtedly the minority of ultimate Dharma beasts who had mastered the technique of Dharmic possession. With the help of an ultimate Dharma spirit weapon, they could easily kill ultimate Dharma beasts on the Guiyao planet. If an ultimate Dharma adept had not mastered the technique of Dharma possession, even if he had an ultimate Dharma spirit weapon, he would not be able to instantly kill ultimate Dharma beasts. Now, Zhou Donghuang had taken out so many brains of late Dharma beasts and ultimate Dharma beasts, implicitly stating a fact. He must have trained his Dharma power to the stage of Dharma power control. If not for the fact that he could easily instantly kill ultimate Dharma beasts, he would not have been able to kill so many ultimate Dharma beasts in such a short period of time. For late Dharma adepts in the Alliance, even those who had trained their Dharma power to the stage of Dharma possession, killing an ultimate Dharma beast would require a lot of energy, and they would also need some time to recover. Even if they encountered many ultimate Dharma beasts, there was a limit to how many they could kill. 300 now. When Zhou Donghuang took out the brains of the 300th ultimate Dharma beast, everyone was numb. Even the deputy alliance leader, the mid-divine transformation old man, had a look of shock on his face. How many years had it been since his emotions had fluctuated like this? Even he couldn't remember this. But today, a young fellow from the Lightning Sword sect had caused him to be unable to calm down for a long time. They're all here. In the end, Zhou Donghuang had taken out a total of 368 brains of ultimate Dharma beasts. This was even more than the brains of late Dharma beasts that he had taken out previously. They're all here. Seeing that Zhou Donghuang was finally done, everyone felt a wave of fatigue, as if they had just fought a tough battle. They were both physically and mentally exhausted. Is this Zhou Donghuang still human? His points seemed to have exceeded 40,000, right? 40,000 points. In the history of the Alliance hunt, there hasn't been anyone who has obtained 20,000 points, let alone 40,000 points, right? How did he obtain so many points? Unless he has already trained his Dharma power to the legendary stage of Dharma power control. Many people suspected that Zhou Donghuang had mastered the legendary technique of Dharma adepts, Dharma power control. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to have such result. Zhou Donghuang Yu Yuqing of the Lightning Sword sect looked at Zhou Donghuang. His body was still trembling slightly. This result was something that he had not even dreamed of. He had originally thought that Zhou Donghuang was unlucky and had not accumulated many points in the Alliance hunt. But when the results came out, it was completely beyond his expectations. In fact, this result was something that he had not even dared to dream of. 40,000 points. Zhou Donghuang, are you trying to defy the heavens? Can't you keep a low profile? Yu Yuqing could imagine that once news of what had happened today spread, not only would the people from the various sects of the Alliance be shocked, but even the two transcendental forces of the Honglio galaxy would definitely be shocked. Sect leader Yu, didn't you say that your disciple Zhou Donghuang of the Lightning Sword sect was unlucky? You lied to us so badly. At this time, the sect leaders of the various sects of the Alliance who had been comforting Yu Yuqing earlier all glared at Yu Yuqing. Sect leader Yu, you are really unkind. To think that we wasted so much time comforting you. Turns out that you have been pretending to be weak all along. Sect leader Yu, this matter is not over. You have to give me an explanation. Faced with the condemnation of the various sect leaders, Yu Yuqing could only smile bitterly and helplessly. Everyone, I really thought that Zhou Donghuang was unlucky and did not accumulate many points. He felt that he had been tricked by Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang, you have gained so much. Can't you at least smile when you come out? Who are you trying to show a straight face for? Even I have been fooled by you. He has definitely mastered Dharma power control. Hu Jingshan, who was beside Bailey Feiyang, said with absolute certainty. Bailey Feiyang also nodded. If he had killed all those beasts alone, it is impossible that he did not master Dharma power control. At this time, the deputy alliance leader of the alliance, an old man at the mid-divine transformation stage, appeared in front of Zhou Donghuang in a flash. He looked at Zhou Donghuang with a friendly expression. Zhou Donghuang, you have trained your Dharma power to the stage of Dharma power control? Yes. Zhou Donghuang nodded lightly. He knew that he could not deny this. Of course, he did not intend to deny it either. He had already mastered the technique of Dharma power control. It was not only him. Even He Mingxi and De Zhuang had also mastered the technique of Dharma power control after switching to the Thousand-Star Sword technique and the Fiery Thunder training regimen. It was just that they were not as adept at using it as he was. Otherwise, their results in this alliance hunt would definitely be much higher. Chapter 288. Guessing was one thing. The truth was another matter. When they saw Zhou Donghuang answer the old man's question and say that he had mastered Dharma power control, not only did the old man's eyes brighten, but everyone else's breathing also stopped at this moment. In the history of the Hunglyo galaxy, even among the two transcendental powers, there has never been a Dharma adept who has mastered Dharma power control, right? From what I know, there are many Dharma adepts in the Hunglyo galaxy who don't believe in superstitions and train their Dharma power with all their might, hoping to master Dharma power control. However, even when they reach the end of their lives, they still have not mastered Dharma power control. They can only break through to the primordial soul stage, or else they will die without a doubt. I know about this as well. In the history of the Qingyuan sect, there were two seniors who did this. One of them was unlucky, and only wanted to break through to the primordial soul stage a year before the end of his life. However, in the end, he did not manage to break through and died. I originally thought that only in the galaxy with rich training resources would there be Dharma adepts who have mastered Dharma power control. I never thought that such a person would appear in the Hunglyo galaxy. The Lightning Sword sect disciple, Zhou Donghuang, has made history in the Hunglyo galaxy. At this moment, most of the disciples of the various sects of the Alliance were flushed, happy that they could witness this historical moment in the Hunglyo galaxy. Of course, there were also many talented disciples who sighed silently. They felt that it was an indescribable tragedy that they had appeared in the same era as Zhou Donghuang. They were destined to be surpassed by Zhou Donghuang. This Zhou Donghuang, he has actually mastered Dharma power control. In the distance, the Yuanyin Order disciple, Zhong Chengsai's eyes narrowed. He had never imagined that Zhou Donghuang had mastered Dharma power control. However, when he thought about it, he remembered that Zhou Donghuang had easily killed the two ultimate Dharma beasts that day. Perhaps it was not a coincidence? It must be known that all along, he had thought that the two beasts had acted up and allowed Zhou Donghuang to take advantage of the situation, but now, it seemed that Zhou Donghuang had used his own abilities to kill the two ultimate Dharma beasts fair and square. He has mastered the technique of law power control, yet he is actually this terrifying? Zhong Qingkai stared at Zhou Donghuang, his heart trembling. He already regretted offending Zhou Donghuang. What should I do? I've already offended him twice. Even if he ignored me the first time, I'm sure he'll take it to heart the way I looked at him just now. When he grows up in the future, he might want to kill me with a single thought. No, we can't just sit here and wait for death. When I get back, I will definitely ask my father to find a way to kill him and strangle him in the cradle. When he grows up, not even my father or the entire Yuanyin sect will be able to stop him. In that instant, Zhong Qingkai made his decision. Fortunately, Zhou Donghuang did not know what Zhong Qingkai was thinking. Otherwise, he would definitely think that Zhong Qingkai was suffering from the classic persecutory delusion on Earth. He has actually mastered the technique of Dharma power control? Luo Qinghan stood among the group of people from the Jihan sect. At that moment, she could feel the envious gazes of many of the Jihan sect disciples. As for what they were envious about, it was not difficult for her to guess. They were definitely envious that she had a man like Zhou Donghuang. Regarding this, she felt both helpless and bitter. When will I be able to catch up to your footsteps? If Luo Qinghan had felt that she had a chance of catching up to Zhou Donghuang when she obtained the deity-level technique, the thousand-star sword technique, then now, she could not help but wonder if she really had a chance of catching up to Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang's excellence was already comparable to that of Zhuge Haotian. As for that Zhuge Haotian, although she did not know who he was, based on the message he left behind, it was not difficult to guess that the family behind him was definitely a powerful one. It was most likely one of the top families in the universe. Otherwise, why would he so casually give her a deity-level technique to practice? He was sent to the backward planet of Xiun by his biological father. Father once guessed that his biological father must have a powerful background. Now, it seems that his real background may not be any weaker than Zhuge Haotian's. Otherwise, how could he have mastered Dharma power control at this age and at this level of practice? Now, in Luo Qinghan's eyes, Zhou Donghuang was already comparable to Zhuge Haotian. As for Zhuge Haotian, she felt that even if she switched to the deity-level technique, the thousand-star sword technique, she would still not be able to catch up to him. Perhaps, after all, we are not fated to be together. Luo Qinghan sighed silently in her heart. Zhou Donghuang. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the deputy alliance leader, an old man at the mid-divine transformation stage, looked at Zhou Donghuang with a friendly expression. Besides being the deputy alliance leader of the Hongliu Galaxy, I am also the grand elder of the Guiyuan sect, He Qingshan. As soon as he finished speaking, the old man gritted his teeth and went straight to the point. Zhou Donghuang, I know that you are a disciple of the Lightning Sword sect now, but as the saying goes, water flows downhill, and man strives for higher heights. If you are willing to join the Guiyuan sect, I am willing to accept you as my last disciple, and I can guarantee that I, and even the Guiyuan sect, will do our best to nurture you. When the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing, saw He Qingshan enthusiastically introduce himself to Zhou Donghuang, he had already felt that something was wrong. Before he could react, He Qingshan had already started to poach Zhou Donghuang. Instantly, his expression changed, and he stared at He Qingshan with dissatisfaction. Senior Uncle He, what you are doing is not very good, is it? Zhou Donghuang is a disciple of the Lightning Sword sect, and he is also a member of the Alliance. What you are doing is against the rules of the Alliance, isn't it? The Alliance of the Hongliu Galaxy was formed by the 52 top sects of the Hongliu Galaxy, and there were rules within the Alliance. In order for the sects to coexist peacefully and maintain a stable relationship, the sects were not allowed to poach disciples from each other. But now, He Qingshan, the deputy alliance leader of the alliance, was breaking this rule. Faced with Yu Yuqing's unfriendly tone, He Qingshan's expression was calm. Sect leader Yu, under normal circumstances, poaching disciples from other sects is naturally detrimental to the relationship between the sects of the alliance. However, there are exceptions to everything, and when there are exceptions there is no need to be so rigid with the rules and regulations. Zhou Donghuang is only 26 years old, but he is already a late Dharma adept, and he has even trained his Dharma power to the stage of Dharma power control and has mastered the technique of Dharma power control. Based on his current achievements, even in the known history of the Hongliu Galaxy, it can be said that he is unprecedented. A person like this, even the Qi dynasty and the Guangling Academy would be tempted by him. Today, I have made such a promise, and it is only because I want to tie him to the alliance. Could it be that you want him to be lost to the Qi dynasty or the Guangling Academy? At this point, seeing that Yu Yuqing opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, He Qingshan took a step forward and continued, I know that you want to say that the Lightning Sword sect can also give everything that the Guiyuan sect can give. But, don't forget. How long has the history of the Lightning Sword sect been? Is it even half as long as the Guiyuan sect? In terms of history, the Lightning Sword sect cannot compare to the Guiyuan sect. You can't deny this, right? What the Guiyuan sect can give, the Lightning Sword sect may not be able to. He Qingshan's words caused Yu Yuqing to be speechless, because what He Qingshan said was true. The Guiyuan sect was one of the oldest sects in the Hongliu Galaxy, and its history was as long as the Qi dynasty and the Guangling Academy, the two transcendental powers of the Hongliu Galaxy. As for the Lightning Sword sect, it was only established after the Qi dynasty. In terms of history, the Lightning Sword sect could not compare to the Guiyuan sect. Seeing that Yu Yuqing was speechless, He Qingshan looked at Zhou Donghuang again, wanting to continue speaking. However, before he could speak, the Yunhua sect leader spoke first. Zhou Donghuang, in terms of history, the Yunhua sect is not inferior to the Guiyuan sect. As long as you are willing to join the Yunhua sect, whatever the Guiyuan sect can give you, the Yunhua sect can also give you, and even more. As soon as the Yunhua sect leader spoke, Many other sect leaders followed suit. One by one, they picked up their shovels and began to poach the Lightning Sword sect, trying to recruit Zhou Donghuang. The sect leaders of these sects, without exception, were all sects that were as old as the Gui Yuan sect. When the Yunhua sect leader spoke, He Qingshan's expression had already changed. Now that so many people had spoken up, his expression naturally became even uglier. However, he had no way of rebuking them, because the sects behind these people were indeed not inferior to the Gui Yuan sect. In fact, some of them were even stronger than the Gui Yuan sect. Zhou Donghuang. At this time, even the Jihan sect leader, Meng Yuping, stood up and looked at Zhou Donghuang with a warm smile. Our Jihan sect also has a long history and a strong foundation. If you join our Jihan sect, whatever the other sects can give you, we can also give you. Furthermore, you can be with Luo Qinghan every day and be a perfect couple. When Meng Yuping stood up, the Yunhua sect leader had a bitter smile on his face. Hearing Meng Yuping's words, he could not help but give her a thumbs up. Sect leader Meng, you are ruthless. It seems like no one can compete with you today. He Qingshan and the others who had tried to recruit Zhou Donghuang looked on in confusion. When the Yunhua sect leader explained the relationship between Zhou Donghuang and Luo Qinghan, their expressions changed completely. They had never imagined that the Jihan sect would have such a trump card. Hearing Meng Yuping's words, Zhou Donghuang subconsciously looked at Luo Qinghan, but she looked at him and shook her head lightly. Luo Qinghan. Seeing Luo Qinghan's actions, Meng Yuping's expression darkened. Chapter 289. Sect Leader Meng. Zhou Donghuang looked at Meng Yuping, who was glaring at Luo Qinghan, and said with a slight smile, "The reason I chose to join the Lightning Sword sect and not the Jihan sect with Luo Qinghan was because the Autumn Valley head of the Lightning Sword sect was kind to me. Just like my original choice. Today, I will continue to stay in the Lightning Sword sect." Although Zhou Donghuang's words were calm, his tone was firm, and it left no room for doubt. Hearing his words, Meng Yuping's expression softened slightly. She had been wondering, since Zhou Donghuang had such a relationship with Luo Qinghan, why did he not join the Jihan sect with her? Although the Jihan sect had more female disciples, they also accepted male disciples. Now, hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, Meng Yuping finally understood. Haha, the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing, who had been waiting for Zhou Donghuang to express his stance, could not help but burst out laughing. He looked at Zhou Donghuang excitedly and said, "Zhou Donghuang, don't worry. Today you chose to stay in the Lightning Sword sect, and the Lightning Sword sect will not mistreat you." He was very clear in his heart. Today, even if Zhou Donghuang wanted to join another sect, the Lightning Sword sect would not be able to do anything, and they could not do anything. Now, seeing that Zhou Donghuang had chosen to stay in the Lightning Sword sect, he could not suppress the excitement in his heart. "Thank you, sect leader." Although Zhou Donghuang had never thought of leaving the Lightning Sword sect and joining another force in the Honglio galaxy, deep in his heart, he could not help but thank those who had tried to poach him. They had made him a valuable commodity, and they had even made the Lightning Sword sect leader make such a promise. He could almost foresee, in the future, if he had any needs, the Lightning Sword sect leader would definitely do his best to help him obtain them. And this was, in fact, Zhou Donghuang's goal. Otherwise, he could have casually taken out the brains of the beasts that could have accumulated more than 10,000 points, and he would have secured his first place in the alliance hunt. He had taken out the brains of the beasts that could have accumulated tens of thousands of points to show everyone that he, Zhou Donghuang, was outstanding, and no one in the Honglio galaxy could compare to him. By showing his value, he would be able to obtain greater returns. Not only in the cultivation world, but also in the lives of ordinary people on Earth. A person with strong working ability would often be poached by headhunting companies and offered a high salary just to win him over. Now, he was in a similar situation. At the same time, The people from the various sects who had tried to recruit Zhou Dongwang saw that Zhou Dongwang had made his stance clear and could only temporarily give up on the idea of recruiting him. One by one, they turned to look at Yu Yuqing and congratulated him for being the Lightning Sword sect leader. They also congratulated the Lightning Sword sect for having a disciple like Zhou Dongwang. In their hearts, they had already begun to think of ways to secretly recruit Zhou Dongwang. In their opinion, in this world, as long as there was humanity, there would be desires. This was because Zhou Dongwang had obtained 40,000 points in this alliance hunt. Although there were many outstanding disciples among the Dharma adepts of the various large sects, they all paled in comparison. Not only did they pale in comparison to Zhou Dongwang's points, but they also paled in comparison to Luo Qinghan's points. This year's alliance hunt has become a one-man show for the Lightning Sword sect. Many people from the various sects laughed bitterly as they whispered to each other. However, even so, there was nothing they could do. Who asked the Lightning Sword sect to recruit such an outstanding disciple like Zhou Dongwang? In this process, some of the talented disciples from the various sects who had originally wanted to compete with Zhou Dongwang, such as the Thunder Knife sect disciple Han Yujing, who wanted to find Zhou Dongwang to avenge his humiliation, and a few alliance disciples who were previously unconvinced that Zhou Dongwang was stronger than them, completely gave up on the idea of competing with Zhou Dongwang. This difference was too great. It was so great that they could only look at him in the dust and despair. After all, in the long history of the Hongliu galaxy, there had never been someone like Zhou Dongwang. They did not think that they could surpass the countless young talents in the history of the Hongliu galaxy. When the points of the 52 sects were tallied, this year's alliance hunt had officially ended. I only have a portion of the rewards for this year's alliance hunt. The rest are in the hands of the other two deputy alliance leaders. The deputy alliance leader of the alliance, the sect elder of the Gui Yuan sect, He Qingshan, announced to the Dharma disciples of the various sects after the rankings were tabulated. In the process, his eyes shone brightly, and his gaze fell on Zhou Dongwang. Zhou Dongwang was undoubtedly the first in this year's alliance hunt. As for the second place, she was also a disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. She was He Mingxi, who had more than 10,000 points. After the alliance hunt ended, the people of the various sects of the alliance waited for 2 whole days. The 2 deputy alliance leaders, who had accompanied the Tiansong sect leader Huang Chuanxiu and the others to the Guiyao planet, and the other 2 mid-divine transformation elders, also came out. Huang Chuanxiu and the others also came out with them. You didn't find him? When they saw how many people had gone and how many had returned, the people of the various sects already had their guesses. We searched almost the entire Guiyao planet, but we couldn't find him. One of the 2 deputy alliance leaders shook his head as he saw He Qingshan looking at him. Is the ranking done? The other deputy alliance leader asked He Qingshan. It's done. He Qingshan nodded and passed the paper with the records to the 2 of them. After the 2 of them took the paper, they looked at it from top to bottom. They wanted to see who the first person in this year's alliance hunt would be, and how many points he had earned. Would he be able to break the record of 10,000 points that no one had been able to accumulate in the past few hundred years? Zhou Dongwang. The 2 of them saw Zhou Dongwang's name at the top of the list at the same time, behind the words, first place. They had heard of Zhou Dongwang before, and they knew that he was the genius of the Lightning Sword sect in the past 2 years. However, they had not expected that Zhou Dongwang would actually be the first person in this year's alliance hunt. At this moment, there was only one thought in their minds: Zhou Dongwang's luck was not bad. However, when they looked at the points recorded behind Zhou Dongwang's name, they were dumbfounded. My God! Had they seen wrongly? 40,000 points? More than 40,000 points? Instantly, the 2 of them raised their heads to look at He Qingshan and asked in unison, Zhou Dongwang's points must be wrong, right? There's no mistake, it's more than 40,000 points. He Qingshan was not surprised by their reactions. Zhou Dongwang brought out more than 300 heads of late Dharma beasts, and another 400 heads of ultimate Dharma beasts. I've confirmed that they were all beasts from the Guiyao planet that were killed within the past 3 months. There's no mistake. As if he knew what the two of them were going to ask next, He Qingshan answered their questions in one breath. More than 300 late Dharma beasts? Nearly 400 ultimate Dharma beasts? At this moment, not to mention the 2 elderly deputy alliance leaders, even the Tiansong sect leader, Huang Chuanqiu, who had just returned, and led the few higher-ups of the Tiansong sect who had just returned, were so shocked that their pupils contracted sharply. At the same time, they subconsciously looked at the group of Tiansong sect disciples behind them. Sect leader, Zhou Dongwang has indeed brought out so many heads of beasts and accumulated more than 40,000 points. A Tiansong sect disciple who was standing closer to the front said with a bitter smile, besides that, he has also mastered the technique of Dharma power control, which no one in the history of the Hongliu galaxy has ever been able to master. As soon as this Tiansong sect disciple said this, Huang Chuanqiu, who had already guessed what had happened, narrowed his eyes. This Zhou Dongwang has also trained his Dharma power to the level of Dharma power control? His disciple, Mo Etienne, had died at the hands of someone who had mastered Dharma power control. As for that person, other than the grimace mask he wore and the Dharma power he conjured was different from Zhou Dongwang's, the rest of his features were very similar to Zhou Dongwang's. Huang Chuanqiu had heard all of this from the 2 Tiansong sect disciples who had been present at the time. In a flash, Huang Chuanqiu appeared in front of the 2 of them. His eyes were like lightning as he stared at them and asked in a low voice, "Are you sure that person's Dharma power was a flying beast when it appeared and not a tiger Dharma power? You have to know, those who have mastered Dharma power control can control their Dharma power to change into various shapes after their Dharma power appears for a moment. Are you sure that flying beast Dharma power was not transformed from a tiger Dharma power? Although Dharma adepts who had mastered Dharma power control could change their Dharma power's shape and appearance at will, when their Dharma power first appeared, it would definitely be their own Dharma power. It was impossible for it to be another Dharma power the moment it appeared. Because of this, Huang Chuanqiu asked the 2 Tiansong sect disciples this question. Sect leader, I saw it clearly. When his Dharma power appeared, it was a flying beast Dharma power. There's no mistake, that flying beast Dharma power was very natural, as if it had merged with his entire body. It must be his Dharma power's original form. One of the Tiansong sect disciples was the first to express his opinion. Sect leader, I can also confirm that that person's Dharma power's original form was a flying beast Dharma power and not a tiger Dharma power. That person is definitely not Zhou Dongwang. The other Tiansong sect disciple also said with certainty. His build and clothes are indeed very similar to Zhou Dongwang's, but I can confirm that the white robes on his body and the white robes on Zhou Dongwang's body are all different in every detail. Back then, I noticed that he looked very similar to Zhou Dongwang, so I specially observed him. The words of the 2 Tiansong sect disciples made Huang Chuanqiu's brows furrow involuntarily. How could there be such a coincidence in this world? 2 people of similar build, who both liked to wear white, and who were both late Dharma adepts who had mastered Dharma power control, were actually not the same person? One Dharma power was a tiger Dharma power, while the other was a flying beast Dharma power. Chapter 290. Unless Zhou Dongwang has the ability to change his Dharma power's appearance before it appears, otherwise, he can't be that person. As Huang Chuanqiu thought of this, he looked at Zhou Dongwang again, his gaze sharpening. He still did not believe that there could be such a coincidence. Zhou Dongwang, don't let me find any evidence, otherwise I and even the Tiansong sect will not tolerate you. Huang Chuanqiu thought to himself. Now, even he did not dare to confirm that Zhou Dongwang was the person who had killed his most beloved disciple, Mo Etienne. Even if he could confirm it, as long as there was no evidence, he would not be able to openly attack Zhou Donghuang. And once he could prove that Zhou Donghuang had killed Mo Etian, he, and even the Tiansong sect, would be able to openly attack. In fact, the various sects of the alliance would even support him. Zhou Donghuang was too outstanding, to the point that he could be said to be nature-defying. However, as the saying went, the tallest tree in the forest is the first to be destroyed by the wind. The various sects of the alliance would definitely destroy this demon of the lightning sword sect if they had the chance. No sect would want this demon of the lightning sword sect to grow up. Once such a demon grew up, unless he left the Honglyo galaxy early, his existence would definitely break the balance of the various sects of the alliance. If he had the ambition, he could even unite them and build a third transcendental force in the Honglyo galaxy. And when that time came, whoever was unwilling to accept the unification would most likely be destroyed. No one knew what Huang Chuanxiu was thinking. Even the two Tiansong sect disciples who had personally witnessed the masked Zhou Donghuang kill Mo Etian did not think that the person was the same person as Zhou Donghuang. Huang Chuanxiu did not dare to think that Zhou Donghuang had two Dharma powers. He only dared to think that Zhou Donghuang might have mastered a method to change the form of his Dharma power before it appeared. As for the two Tiansong sect disciples, not only did they not dare to think that Zhou Donghuang had two different Dharma powers, they did not even dare to think that Zhou Donghuang had the ability to change the form of his Dharma power before it appeared. This was because, since ancient times, it was impossible for any Dharma adept, including those who had tempered their Dharma power to the stage of Dharma power control, to change the form of their Dharma power before it appeared. This was practically an iron law. However, Huang Chuanxiu was thinking that this was, after all, a saying that had been passed down since ancient times in the Honglyo galaxy. There had never been a Dharma adept in the Honglyo galaxy who had mastered Dharma power control. Who would dare to say that this saying was definitely true? What if that statement was wrong? No matter what, even if Huang Chuanxiu had this thought, he could not say it out loud, because once he did, no one would stand on his side. Unless he had enough evidence to prove his innocence. /B The Alliance Hunt, which took 3 months, ended just like that. Half a month later, Zhou Donghuang also obtained the Sky Sun Fruit as he wished. The Sky Sun Fruit could be said to be the best reward in the history of the Alliance Hunt. Normally, no one would be able to obtain the Sky Sun Fruit. That day, when they had confirmed that Zhou Donghuang would be able to keep the Sky Sun Fruit, almost all of the Dharma adepts of the various sects of the Alliance were envious. Many sect leaders of the various sects of the Alliance had even expressed their willingness to pay a hefty price in exchange for the Sky Sun Fruit from Zhou Donghuang. However, Zhou Donghuang rejected her outright. What a joke! The Sky Sun Fruit was something that he urgently needed. With the Sky Sun Fruit, he would be able to allow the 4 Dharma powers in his body to break through to the ultimate Dharma stage in a short period of time, and then break through to the primordial soul stage. If my 4 Dharma powers transform into primordial souls, once the 4 primordial souls appear, even if I am only at the early primordial soul stage, I am confident that I can defeat and even kill an ordinary late primordial soul adept. As he received the Sky Sun Fruit from the hands of the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing, Zhou Donghuang's expression was calm, but his heart was in turmoil. Zhou Donghuang, congratulations! Yu Yuqing smiled and congratulated Zhou Donghuang. Thank you, sect leader. Zhou Donghuang nodded at Yu Yuqing and prepared to return to his own residence in the Autumn Valley to produce the Sky Sun Elixir and maximize the use of the Sky Sun Fruit. If the Sky Sun Elixir was produced, his level of practice would greatly increase in a short period of time, and he would also be able to share one Sky Sun Elixir with third senior sister Anda Zhuang. Zhou Donghuang, wait a moment. Just as Zhou Donghuang was about to take his leave and return to the Autumn Valley, Yu Yuqing called out to him. Sect leader, what's the matter? Zhou Donghuang asked. A few days ago, a few guests came to the Lightning Sword sect. Yu Yuqing smiled bitterly at Zhou Donghuang and said, "If they were just ordinary people, it would be fine, but they are from the Qi dynasty and the Guangling Academy." The Qi dynasty? The Guangling Academy? Zhou Donghuang raised an eyebrow. They are here for the Sky Sun fruit? I'm afraid that's not the case. I think they're here for you, Lin Huang said. Yu Yuqing shook his head and said, "Of course, if you are not willing to go to the Qi dynasty or the Guangling Academy, they will definitely settle for the next best thing and target your Sky Sun fruit. Can't I not meet them?" Zhou Donghuang frowned slightly. He did not want to meet people who were not related to him. "If you don't meet them, I'm afraid they will go to the Autumn Valley themselves to look for you." Yu Yuqing smiled bitterly. In front of these two transcendental forces, even he, the Lightning Sword sect leader, had to be careful and did not dare to be careless. He had no choice, as he was not confident enough. If the other party only wanted to attack him, or anyone else in the Lightning Sword sect, they could just find a random reason, and even the Alliance would not want to have any conflict with them. Although the 52 sects in the Alliance had a lot of adepts, they could not gather all the adepts and negotiate with the two transcendental forces over such a small conflict, or even fight. To put it bluntly, Yu Yuqing was a direct descendant of the two transcendent forces with the highest status. Even if he was just a young man, he would not dare to easily retaliate if he were to slap him. If that's the case, let's meet them. Zhou Donghuang did not want to attract the people of the two transcendental forces to the Autumn Valley and break the peace there. Under Yu Yuqing's guidance, Zhou Donghuang first went to the place where the Lightning Sword sect received the people from the Guangling Academy. The person from the Guangling Academy was a middle-aged man dressed like a scholar. He was tall and well-built, and his face was as smooth as jade. He seemed to always have a smile on his face, and it was as if he was a spring breeze. "Elder Dongfang." Yu Yuqing smiled and greeted him, then began to introduce him. "Elder Shangguan, this is Zhou Donghuang of the Lightning Sword sect. Zhou Donghuang, this is Elder Dongfang Yu of the Guangling Academy." Following Yu Yuqing's words, Zhou Donghuang merely glanced at him and asked impatiently, "What's the matter?" If he had a choice, he would not want to meet the people from the Guangling Academy or the Qi dynasty, because it would be a waste of his time, even if he met her. However, Zhou Donghuang's impatience frightened Yu Yuqing, and he hurriedly apologized to Dongfang Yu. "Elder Dongfang, Zhou Donghuang has urgent matters to attend to at the Autumn Valley, so it was inevitable that he lost his composure. Please forgive me." Although the person in front of him was only one of the elders of the Guangling Academy, he had another identity. He was the grandson of the Guangling Academy's dean. Such a person was not someone the Lightning Sword sect could afford to offend. "It's all right." Dongfang Yu shook his head and smiled. "I was being presumptuous." "Zhou Donghuang." Dongfang Yu looked at Zhou Donghuang, his face full of smiles. "I am here this time to invite you into the Guangling Academy." Before Dongfang Yu could finish, Zhou Donghuang interrupted him. "I'm not interested." The smile on Dongfang Yu's face froze slightly, but he continued with a smile. "Of course, if you are not willing, I and the Guangling Academy will not force you. There's also one more thing." Hearing Dongfang Yu say this, Zhou Donghuang knew that he was definitely interested in his Sky Sun fruit, and Dongfang Yu's next words were precisely because of the Sky Sun fruit. "The Guangling Academy is willing to exchange a Tongshan fruit for the Sky Sun fruit you have. I wonder if you are willing to exchange?" Dongfang Yu asked with a smile. "Tongshan fruit?" Hearing Dongfang Yu's words, although Zhou Donghuang looked calm on the surface, his heart was in turmoil. Obviously, he had not expected the Guangling Academy to exchange a Tongshan fruit for his Sky Sun fruit. The value of the Tongshan fruit was no less than the Sky Sun fruit. In fact, in the eyes of some, the Tongshan fruit was even more attractive than the Sky Sun fruit. The Tongshan fruit could help ultimate Dharma adepts break through to the primordial soul stage. To ultimate Dharma adepts who were reaching the end of their lifespans and had no hope of breaking through to the primordial soul stage, it was a priceless treasure. Because to them, it was a miracle medicine that could prolong their lives. In some of the more resource-rich galaxies, the Tongshan fruit could easily fetch a higher price than the Sky Sun fruit in an auction. Even in the more resource-rich galaxies, there was no shortage of people who were too untalented and had no hope of breaking through to the primordial soul stage. These people's friends and relatives were often willing to buy a Tongshan fruit for them. In terms of value, the Tongshan fruit was no less valuable than the Sky Sun fruit. Unfortunately, to Zhou Dongwang, the Tongshan fruit had no value, at least not to him. Now, even if the Guangling Academy offered 10 or 100 Tongshan fruits, he would not be able to exchange the Sky Sun fruit, much less one Tongshan fruit. What did he lack the most now? Time. The Sky Sun fruit could save him time and allow him to break through to the primordial soul stage earlier. Not exchanging. Zhou Dongwang shook his head. Dongfang Yu's expression showed that he was not surprised by Zhou Donghuang's reply. However, he did not give up just like that. What if I add another promise? The Guangling Academy's early divine transformation adept can help you once, no matter who the other party is or what the reason is. Hearing this additional condition, Zhou Dongwang shook his head again. Not exchanging. Mid-divine transformation. Dongfang Yu continued. As long as it does not harm the Guangling Academy's interests, the Guangling Academy's mid-divine transformation adept can help you once. Chapter 291. Without harming the Guangling Academy's interests? Hearing Dongfang Yu's words, even Yu Yuqing, the leader of the Lightning Sword sect, could not help but gasp. He knew very well what this meant. This meant that as long as Zhou Dongwang was willing to exchange for the Sky Sun fruit, he could get the Guangling Academy to send a mid-divine transformation adept to kill Yu Yuqing, or even kill any of the leaders of the Alliance sections. Of course, it would be assassination. Without sufficient evidence, even if the various sects of the Alliance suspected that the Guangling Academy was the culprit, they would not be able to go to the Guangling Academy to question them. Yu Yuqing could not help but sigh at the charm of the Sky Sun fruit. Hundreds of years ago, even the Qi dynasty had specially sent a young prince to infiltrate the Fire sect, one of the sects in the Alliance. He had openly obtained the Sky Sun fruit during the Alliance hunt. Now, the Guangling Academy was willing to pay such a high price for the Sky Sun fruit. Not exchanging. Zhou Dongwang still shook his head. He was not at all moved by Dongfang Yu's offer. At this moment, even Yu Yuqing was shocked. He had thought that Zhou Dongwang was going to agree. After all, the promise of a mid-divine transformation adept from the Guangling Academy was too valuable. Furthermore, there was a Tongshan fruit. There was only one mid-divine transformation adept in the Lightning Sword sect. Even for the sects of the Alliance with the deepest foundations, even if they had left more mid-divine transformation adepts in the Hongliu galaxy, there would at most be 2 of them. As for late divine transformation adepts, it was impossible for the sects in the Alliance to have one. Usually, those who had the ability to enter the late divine transformation stage in the Hongliu galaxy had the potential to go to a galaxy with a better training environment and more resources to break through to the separating divinity stage. They would not be willing to stay in one of the sects in the Alliance. Unlike the 2 transcendental forces in the Hongliu galaxy, even if a late divine transformation adept stayed, there would be enough resources for him to use. Of course, even the 2 transcendental forces in the Hongliu galaxy could not keep an ultimate divine transformation adept. The ultimate divine transformation stage was only 1 stage away from the separating divinity stage. No one was willing to risk staying in the Hongliu galaxy. What if there was no way to break through in the Hongliu galaxy? Wouldn't that be equivalent to waiting for death? Zhou Dongwang, are you really not willing to exchange? This is already the greatest compromise that the Guangling Academy can make. You must consider this carefully. Seeing that Zhou Donghuang was still refusing, Dong Fangyu thought that Zhou Donghuang wanted to continue bargaining, so he immediately spoke up to stop Zhou Donghuang from having that thought. Of course, if you haven't met the people from the Qi dynasty yet, you can go and meet them first. However, what they can offer is definitely not comparable to what the Guangling Academy can offer. Our Guangling Academy is very sincere. You can make a trip to the people of the Qi dynasty. If you feel that what the Guangling Academy is offering is better, you can follow sect leader Yu to find me. I'll wait for you. From Dong Fangyu's words, it was obvious that he was very confident in the things that the Guangling Academy had brought out. He did not seem to be afraid of comparing goods. He felt that Zhou Donghuang must have wanted to compare what the Guangling Academy had with what the Qi dynasty had offered, and that was why he had not agreed immediately. However, he did not expect that even if the Guangling Academy offered a mid-divine transformation adept to fight for Zhou Donghuang once, Zhou Donghuang would not be interested, much less if the Guangling Academy offered a late divine transformation adept to fight for Zhou Donghuang once. To him, the Sky Sun fruit could allow him to attain the primordial soul stage in the shortest time possible. Once he attained the primordial soul stage, he would be able to unlock even more of the treasures from his past life. He would then be able to snatch away the treasures that were supposed to be obtained by others in the future. Now, what he lacked the most was time. With the Sky Sun fruit, not only would he be able to shorten the gap between him and the primordial soul stage, but he would also be able to shorten the gap between him and the divine transformation stage, the separating divinity stage, and even the heavenly being stage. He wanted to attain the same level of power as he had in his past life in the shortest time possible, or even stronger. His biological father and mother were still waiting for him to save them. He could not afford to waste a single moment. Sect leader, let's go and meet the people from the Qi dynasty. Now, what Zhou Donghuang wanted to do the most was to return to the Autumn Valley and use the Sky Sun fruit to refine the Sky Sun elixir. The other ingredients needed to refine the Sky Sun elixir had already been gathered not long after the Alliance hunt had ended. The most important ingredient to refine the Sky Sun elixir was the main ingredient, the Sky Sun fruit. Although the other ingredients were valuable, they were not difficult to gather. In fact, he did not even need to look for sect leader Yu Yuqing. Zhou Donghuang only had to inform the Autumn Valley head, He Jin, and in a few days, He Jin had already gathered all the ingredients and handed them over to him. If not for the fact that he did not want the people from the Qi dynasty and the Guangling Academy to disturb the Autumn Valley, Zhou Donghuang would not have even bothered to meet them. Under the guidance of the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing, Zhou Donghuang quickly met the people from the Qi dynasty. There were two people from the Qi dynasty. One was a middle-aged man dressed in a sky-blue robe, while the other was a young man dressed in a brocade robe. 14th Prince, this is Zhou Donghuang from the Lightning Sword sect. After seeing the people from the Qi dynasty, Yu Yuqing once again introduced them. Zhou Donghuang, this is the 14th Prince of the Qi dynasty, Qi Rui. And this is Minister Chu Wei from the Qi dynasty. Zhou Donghuang glanced lightly at the two of them and nodded slightly. How dare you? Seeing Zhou Donghuang's indifference, Minister Chu Wei, who was standing behind the 14th Prince of the Qi dynasty, Qi Rui, glared angrily at Zhou Donghuang and shouted, How dare you not greet the 14th Prince? Why should I greet him? Zhou Donghuang glanced lightly at Chu Wei. I am not from the Qi dynasty. Don't try to use your Qi dynasty's methods on me to show off. Chu Wei was enraged. Do you really think that just because you have some martial arts talent you can do whatever you want? Do you not know how powerful the Qi dynasty is? Minister Chu, this is the Lightning Sword sect. Yu Yuqing glanced lightly at Chu Wei and reminded him in a cold tone. Dong Fangyu from the Guangling Academy was a direct descendant of the Guangling Academy and the grandson of the dean of the Guangling Academy, whereas this Chu Wei was just an ordinary minister of the Qi dynasty. As the leader of the Lightning Sword sect, there was no need for him to fear him. On the other hand, the 14th prince, Qi Rui, was slightly afraid of him, but not to the extent that he was afraid of Dong Fangyu. Although the 14th prince, Qi Rui, was a direct descendant of the Qi dynasty, among the many descendants of the current king of Qi, his martial arts talent was the lowest. Usually, he was a semi-transparent character in the Qi dynasty. Of course, although he was not that afraid of such a person, he would not dare to provoke him. Uncle Chu, since sect leader Yu is here, we naturally have to give him face, Qi Rui said. His tone was condescending as he glanced lightly at Zhou Dongwang. Zhou Dongwang, your talent is not bad. Now, on behalf of the Qi dynasty, I would like to invite you to join us. Not interested, Zhou Dongwang replied calmly. Zhou Dongwang replied calmly, if there's nothing else, I'll leave first. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Dongwang turned to leave. Just as Qi Rui was about to speak again, Zhou Dongwang, who was walking out, continued, not only am I not interested in going to the Qi dynasty, I am also not interested in exchanging the sky sun fruit with the Qi dynasty, no matter what the Qi dynasty has to offer. This sentence completely silenced Qi Rui, and Qi Rui could only watch as Zhou Dongwang swaggered off into the distance and disappeared from his sight. Sect leader Yu, this Zhou Dongwang of the Lightning Sword sect is too rude. Chu Wei looked at Yu Yuqing with slight fear and said in a low voice, by doing this, he is not only looking down on the 14th prince, but he is also looking down on the Qi dynasty. Minister Chu, there are some things that you cannot put on Zhou Dongwang just because you want to, Yu Yuqing said calmly. Although he felt helpless at Zhou Dongwang's unbridled behavior, Yu Yuqing did not fear Chu Wei. His tone was calm, and it was obvious that he was protecting Zhou Dongwang. Sect leader Yu. At this time, Qi Rui's eyes flashed coldly, and he said in a low voice, when you return, help me pass a message to this so-called genius of the Lightning Sword sect. In the Honglio galaxy, if a genius dies prematurely and is unable to grow, then he is useless. As soon as Qi Rui said this, Yu Yuqing's expression changed, and his eyes flashed coldly. 14th Prince, are you threatening a disciple of the Lightning Sword sect? Uncle Chu, let's go. Qi Rui did not bother with Yu Yuqing anymore, and he left with Chu Wei after a cold snort. Looking at the backs of Qi Rui and Chu Wei leaving, Yu Yuqing's eyes flashed coldly, and he was filled with murderous intent. However, in the end, he did not make a move. Killing the two of them was not difficult for him, but the consequences of killing them were not something that he, or even the Lightning Sword sect, could bear. The 14th prince of the Qi dynasty, Qi Rui, did not have a high status in the Qi dynasty, but no matter what, he was still the blood of King Qi. If he were to die in the Lightning Sword sect, the Qi dynasty would definitely not let the matter rest. Looks like I'll have to remind Zhou Dongwang to not go out unless there's something urgent. Even if he wants to go out, he has to let me know first. Yu Yuqing did not dare to ignore Qi Rui's threat. Qi Rui did not have a high status in the Qi dynasty, but he could command countless primordial soul adepts of the Qi dynasty with a single command. Even Chu Wei, the Qi dynasty's official beside him, was an ultimate primordial soul adept. Usually, Qi Rui might not have been able to command Chu Wei, but today, Zhou Dongwang had angered Chu Wei, and since the two of them were on good terms, Chu Wei might attack Zhou Dongwang. No. I have to go and warn Zhou Dongwang immediately. The more Yu Yuqing thought about it, the more worried he became. In an instant, he moved and headed in the direction of the Autumn Valley. Just as Zhou Dongwang reached the outskirts of the Autumn Valley, Yu Yuqing caught up with him. Sect leader. You're here. Could it be that you're here to help the Qi dynasty relay the conditions that they have in exchange for my sky sun fruit? If that's the case, you don't have to say anything, because I will never give the sky sun fruit away. Zhou Donghuang's tone was resolute. Chapter 292. Zhou Donghuang, don't misunderstand. Yu Yuqing smiled warmly. The sky sun fruit is yours. If you want to exchange it, you can. If you don't want to, no one can force you to. I came to find you mainly to remind you. Just now, after you left, the 14th prince of the Qi dynasty, Qi Rui, threatened you right in front of me. His exact words were, "In the Honglio galaxy, if a genius dies prematurely and is unable to grow, then he is useless." As he spoke, the smile on Yu Yuqing's face disappeared completely and was replaced by a serious expression. In the future, before you have the ability to protect yourself, do not leave the Lightning Sword sect if you can help it. Even if you want to leave, you have to inform Valley Head He and let him accompany you. Yu Yuqing said, "I will inform Valley Head He later." The current Zhou Donghuang was like a rare treasure to Yu Yuqing. This was because with Zhou Donghuang's talent and power of understanding, he would definitely become a powerful figure in the Honglio galaxy in the future. The young and promising Zhou Donghuang could even enter the divine transformation stage without rushing to leave the Honglio galaxy. In the Honglio galaxy, those divine transformation adepts who were in a hurry to leave the Honglio galaxy for a galaxy with a better training environment and more abundant training resources were usually older divine transformation adepts. They were in a hurry to achieve a breakthrough and did not want to waste time. If they delayed for too long, their lifespan would come to an end. With Zhou Donghuang's current talent and power of understanding, if he continues like this, even if he enters the late divine transformation stage, his lifespan will not even reach half. If he is not in a rush to leave the Honglio galaxy, he can definitely lead the Lightning Sword sect to the next level and surpass the other sects of the Alliance to stand shoulder to shoulder with the two transcendental forces. Yu Yuqing had high hopes for Zhou Donghuang. In fact, after the Alliance hunt had ended, the various sects of the Alliance had wanted to poach Zhou Donghuang from the Lightning Sword sect so that he could join their sections. This was because they thought highly of Zhou Donghuang's potential. Thank you for the reminder, sect leader. Although he knew that Yu Yuqing was taking such good care of him because of his current talent and power of understanding, Zhou Donghuang still owed him a debt of gratitude. Next, Yu Yuqing and Zhou Donghuang returned to the Autumn Valley. After Zhou Donghuang returned to the Autumn Valley, he destroyed his residence and busied himself with refining the sky sun fruit. As for Yu Yuqing, he went to look for the Autumn Valley head, He Jin. To a certain extent, Zhou Donghuang's safety might even affect the future of the Lightning Sword sect, so he had to be careful. Yu Yuqing only left after he informed He Jin of the situation. Elder Dongfang is probably still waiting for Zhou Donghuang's reply. It was not difficult for Yu Yuqing to guess what Elder Dongfangyu of the Guangling Academy was thinking. He was definitely waiting for Zhou Donghuang to return to the Qi dynasty. This was because he was confident that whatever the Guangling Academy could offer would definitely be more valuable than what the Qi dynasty could offer. However, when Dongfangyu saw that Yu Yuqing had returned alone, he couldn't help but frown. Could it be that the Qi dynasty had taken out something even better than what the Guangling Academy had taken out? On second thought, he felt that it was unlikely. Elder Dongfang. Yu Yuqing smiled bitterly and said, "The sky sun fruit is something that your academy has no way of obtaining. You can go back now. Of course, if Elder Dongfang wishes to stay in the Lightning Sword sect for a period of time, we would welcome you with open arms." He gave the sky sun fruit to the Qi dynasty? Dongfangyu asked in a low voice. No. Yu Yuqing shook his head. The Qi dynasty did not even state their conditions before Zhou Donghuang rejected them outright and left. Yu Yuqing's words caused Dongfangyu to be shocked. He rejected them without even stating his conditions? At this point, he realized that he had misunderstood Zhou Donghuang. He had thought that Zhou Donghuang wanted to compete with the other three parties, but now it seemed that Zhou Donghuang was really unwilling to exchange the Sky Sun fruit. Yu Yuqing nodded. Haha. It seems that the Guangling Academy is still quite influential. At least that kid listened to my conditions. After receiving Yu Yuqing's confirmation, Dongfang Yu laughed. Forget it. Since that kid is unwilling, then the Guangling Academy will not part with him. Sect leader Yu, farewell. Hearing that the Qi dynasty did not even have a chance to state their conditions, Dongfang Yu was extremely happy. He was not at all unhappy that he had not helped the Guangling Academy obtain the Sky Sun fruit. In fact, as he left, he still had a smile on his face. It is said that the Guangling Academy and the Qi dynasty are like fire and water. It seems that this is indeed the case. As he personally sent Dongfang Yu off, Yu Yuqing's heart skipped a beat. The 14th prince of the Qi dynasty, Qi Rui, had left the Lightning Sword sect with the Qi dynasty's official, Chu Wei. His expression was still as cold as ever. Uncle Chu, I can't take this lying down. I think you feel the same way, right? Hearing this, Chu Wei's eagle-like eyes flashed with a cold light. That Zhou Donghuang is indeed a little too arrogant. Uncle Chu, I want him dead. Qi Rui's eyes flashed with a bloodthirsty light. Usually, when he was in the Qi dynasty, he was looked down upon and even ignored by his brothers. After all, they had the same noble bloodline as him and had the aura of the Qi dynasty. Furthermore, their martial arts talent was higher than his, so it was normal for them to look down on him. However, a mere disciple of the Lightning Sword sect, a lowly kid, dared to look down on him and ignore him? He could not take this lying down. 14th Prince. Compared to Qi Rui's irrational rage, Chu Wei was much calmer. You should not have said those words in front of the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing. By saying those words, you have given him, and even Zhou Donghuang, time to prepare. Some things, if spoken aloud, will only alert the enemy. Chu Wei said. So what if they are prepared? Could it be that Yu Yuqing will still be by Zhou Donghuang's side at all times, and even when Zhou Donghuang goes out, he will still follow him? Qi Rui laughed disdainfully. In the entire Lightning Sword sect, including Yu Yuqing, there are only 2 divine transformation adepts. Even if I threatened Zhou Donghuang in front of Yu Yuqing today, he and the mid-divine transformation adept of the Lightning Sword sect would definitely not be by Zhou Donghuang's side at all times to protect him. If the divine transformation adept of the Lightning Sword sect does not appear, do you think there will be anyone who is a match for you, Uncle Chu? As Qi Rui spoke, his gaze landed on Chu Wei with more confidence. A smile appeared on Chu Wei's face, and it was obvious that he was very pleased with this. 14th Prince, you are right. It is just a mere Lightning Sword sect, and I have been too cautious. However, I cannot always wait outside the Lightning Sword sect and keep an eye on Zhou Donghuang. After this, when we return, I will have to ask you to look for the 7th Prince and ask him to order the spies that the Qi dynasty has planted in the Lightning Sword sect to provide us with information about Zhou Donghuang's whereabouts. The Qi dynasty had basically planted spies in all the sects of the Hongliu galaxy to provide them with information about the sects of the Alliance. And now, the person in charge of the spies that the Qi dynasty had planted in the various sects of the Alliance was the 7th Prince of the Qi dynasty. With a single order from him, the spies of the various sects of the Alliance would follow his orders. All right. I will look for 7th brother when I return. Qi Rui's eyes flashed as he nodded hurriedly. At the same time, he looked at Chu Wei. However, I will have to trouble Uncle Chu to take action. No problem. Chu Wei agreed immediately. After spending half a day, Zhou Donghuang finally successfully produced the Sky Sun elixir, which used the Sky Sun fruit as the main ingredient. Who would have thought, who would have thought? It seems like using the inner yuan from the vermilion bird Dharma power to produce the elixir is indeed very effective. I can actually produce 5 elixirs. This time, Zhou Dongwang did not produce the Sky Sun elixir in one go. Instead, he produced it in 2 batches. The first time, he used the inner yuan from the White Tiger Dharma power to produce the elixir. He felt that the White Tiger Dharma power was the first to break through to the late Dharma stage, and the inner yuan that it contained was also the purest and most concentrated. Using half of the Sky Sun fruit as the main ingredient, along with other herbs, he produced 2 Sky Sun elixirs. There were no surprises, and it was more or less what Zhou Donghuang had expected. The second time, he used the inner yuan from the Vermilion Bird Dharma power to produce the elixir. The reason why he did this was because he wanted to test out a theory that he had in mind. If he messed up, he should still be able to produce 1 elixir. In the boundless universe, some beasts or other life forms that were born with the power of fire were more likely to become outstanding alchemists than humans. The effect of their alchemy was often better than that of humans. Because of this, Zhou Donghuang thought of the Vermilion Bird Dharma power in his body. That was one of the 4 mythological beasts, the Vermilion Bird. It was born with a godly fire. If he used the power of its Dharma power to condense the fire to refine pills, would the effects be even better? With this in mind, Zhou Donghuang split the Sky Sun fruit into 2 portions and made the Sky Sun elixir in 2 batches. When the results came out, it proved that his conjecture was correct. Using the true fire of the Vermilion Bird Dharma power to concoct elixirs was indeed more effective than using the true fire of the other Dharma powers to concoct elixirs. Moreover, it was not just a little better. This was the second time Zhou Donghuang used the Vermilion Bird Dharma power to refine the Sky Sun elixir, and he managed to produce 5 elixirs. Compared to the first time he used the White Tiger Dharma power to successfully refine 2 Sky Yang pills, he had 3 more pills. A total of 7 pills were formed. In other words, if he had used the Vermilion Bird Dharma power from the very beginning to refine the Sky Yang elixirs, he might have had a chance to make more than 10 elixirs. Of course, money was hard to buy. Zhou Donghuang was very open-minded about this, so he did not have any regrets. I didn't expect to produce 7 Sky Sun elixirs. This is a pleasant surprise. The potency of 7 Sky Sun elixirs is no weaker than 7 Sky Sun fruits. Zhou Donghuang knew what to do with the 7 Sky Sun elixirs. He would give third senior sister, He Mingxi and Dezhuang, 1 each. It would be useless to give them more. For this type of elixir, the first pill was the most effective, and the second pill would have almost no effect. Chapter 293. Most Dharma adepts consume a Sky Sun elixir, and it is enough for their Dharma power to achieve a breakthrough, but I have 4 Dharma powers in my body. If I split the power of 1 Sky Sun elixir among the 4 Dharma powers, it would not make much of a difference. Looking at the 7 Sky Sun elixirs in his hand, Zhou Donghuang's eyes lit up. But now that I have these Sky Sun elixirs, I can use 4 of them, and each Dharma power can absorb the power of 1 Sky Sun elixir. This way, I can allow the 4 Dharma powers in my body to break through to the ultimate Dharma stage in the shortest time possible. Zhou Donghuang practiced the Lord of the 4 Supremes. In order to enter the primordial soul stage, he had to first break through to the ultimate Dharma stage of the 4 mythical beasts in his body. As long as one of them did not break through to the ultimate Dharma stage, he would not be able to enter the primordial soul stage. Because of this, if Zhou Donghuang wanted to become a primordial soul adept as soon as possible, he had to get the 4 Dharma powers in his body to break through to the ultimate Dharma stage as soon as possible. Dezhuang. After the elixirs were formed, Zhou Donghuang went to look for Dezhuang and gave him 2 Sky Sun elixirs. These 2 elixirs are Sky Sun elixirs. Either one of them is as effective as the Sky Sun fruit. Dezhuang might not know what the Sky Sun pill was, but he knew what the Sky Sun fruit was. Therefore, upon hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, he immediately handed the elixir bottle back to Zhou Donghuang. "Little brother, this elixir is too precious. You should use it yourself. It would be a waste to give it to me. There are 2 Sky Sun pills inside, one for you and one for third senior sister. I'll have to ask you to pass third senior sister's pill to him. This pill is similar to the Sky Sun fruit. After consuming one pill, there's no point in consuming a second one. Zhou Donghuang did not take the elixir bottle from De Zhuang. Don't worry, I still have these elixirs with me. I plan to cultivate in seclusion for a period of time. If there's nothing important, don't disturb me. Tell third senior sister about this as well. With that, Zhou Donghuang returned to his room to practice. He was anxious to let the 4 Dharma powers in his body break through to the ultimate Dharma stage and become an unprecedented ultimate Dharma adept. Once the 4 divine beast Dharma powers broke through to the ultimate Dharma stage, he was confident that he could even kill ordinary primordial soul adepts. Once my 4 divine beast Dharma powers break through to the ultimate Dharma stage, I'll have to make another trip to the Guiyao planet to see if I can gain anything. A few days ago, during the Alliance hunt, Zhou Donghuang had discovered that something was amiss with the Guiyao planet and suspected that a powerful demon had been born there. The birthplace of a great demon was usually accompanied by a lot of fortuitous encounters. It would have been fine if he didn't know about this. Since he already knew, it was not Zhou Donghuang's style not to search and find out the truth. In his previous life, although he was quite talented, he had such a low starting point. A large part of the reason why he was able to stand at the peak of the boundless universe 1,000 years later was because he dared to fight and challenge. After Zhou Donghuang went into seclusion, De Zhuang went to look for He Mingxi and gave her the Sky Sun elixir. Third senior sister, junior brother said that he will be training in seclusion for a period of time. If there is nothing urgent, do not disturb him. Understood. When He Mingxi found out from De Zhuang that the Sky Sun elixir was as potent as the Sky Sun fruit, she was shocked. Using spirit fruits to refine elixirs, using one spirit fruit as many spirit fruits. Isn't this an ancient elixir refining method? Junior brother, he even has an advanced elixir refining method that uses the Sky Sun fruit as the main ingredient? De Zhuang did not know about this, but that did not mean that He Mingxi did not know about it. Using rare spirit fruits to refine elixirs, using one spirit fruit as many spirit fruits, this was clearly the legendary advanced elixir refining method. Could it be that junior brother also gained something from that dream? He Mingxi could not help but think of this. At the same time, she looked at De Zhuang with a serious expression. De Zhuang, about this Sky Sun elixir, do not mention it to anyone, not even my father. Although He Mingxi trusted her father very much, this was a serious matter. However, this was a matter of great importance. It was better for one less person to know about it. She could imagine, if news of her junior brother possessing such an ancient elixir refining method were to spread, he would definitely become the public enemy of all the adepts in the Hongliu galaxy. This was because such a method was enough to make everyone go crazy. Even if people from other galaxies with more resources were to find out about this, they would also travel across galaxies to look for Zhou Donghuang to steal the method. The seriousness of this matter forced her to be extremely cautious. At the same time, she was secretly annoyed. Was this junior brother so careless? Did he not even remind De Zhuang not to blabber about this? What He Mingxi did not know was that Zhou Donghuang did not remind De Zhuang because he had absolute trust in her and De Zhuang. The Qi dynasty was one of the 2 transcendental forces in the Hongliu galaxy. It was located in a corner of the Hongliu galaxy, and its territory covered more than 10 planets. There were a total of 13 planets. These 13 planets were all planets of the same star, and they orbited that star. Of the 13 planets, the largest one was the capital of the Qi dynasty. The direct descendants of the Qi dynasty, as well as the strongest practitioners of the Qi dynasty, were all gathered in the capital, and the planet where the capital was located was named Qi King Planet. It was renamed from another planet when the Qi dynasty was first established. Although the 14th prince, Qi Rui, was the son of King Qi, his martial arts talent and power of understanding paled in comparison to the other princes and princesses. Hence, he was not valued by King Qi. King Qi had more than 20 children, and he only valued those who were more outstanding. People like Qi Rui were basically transparent in King Qi's eyes, and this caused his position in the Qi dynasty to be very ordinary. King Qi had so many children, and naturally, they were all born from the same woman. King Qi had 1 concubine and more than 10 concubines, and Qi Rui was born from one of them. However, although Qi Rui's martial talent and comprehension ability were only average, he had an older brother who shared the same father and mother. Among all of King Qi's children, in terms of martial talent and comprehension ability, Qi Rui ranked in the top 3. Thus, Qi Rui was highly regarded by King Qi. This brother of Qi Rui was the 7th prince, Qi Feng. Qi Feng was only 40 years old, but he was already a mid-primordial soul adept. While he was highly valued by King Qi, he was also responsible for the intelligence of the various sects of the Honglio Galaxy Alliance. The spies of the various sects of the Honglio Galaxy Alliance were all in the hands of the 7th prince. Qi Feng looked to be about 30 years old, and his face was as smooth as jade. He had a dignified air about him, and even Qi Rui, the 14th prince, became a little reserved when he approached him. 7th brother. After Qi Rui saw Qi Feng, he was a little hesitant to speak. Although Qi Feng was his biological brother, every time he faced him, he felt as though he was facing his father, King Qi. He was stern and unapproachable. Speak. Qi Feng's tone was calm, and he did not sound like an elder brother talking to his younger brother. Instead, he sounded more like a superior talking to a subordinate. Qi Rui seemed to be used to this, and he did not show any unusual expression. 7th brother, I have come to look for you this time because I need your help. As he said this, he saw that Qi Feng only looked at him without saying a word, and he hurriedly continued, This time, the various sects of the Alliance are holding an alliance hunt, and I have been ordered to go and monitor it to see if anyone has obtained the Sky Sun fruit. This was because no one from the various sects of the Alliance had been able to obtain the Sky Sun fruit in the Alliance hunt for hundreds of years. Hence, the Qi dynasty had initially placed great importance on this aspect of monitoring, but now it had become a matter of convenience. Otherwise, they would not have sent Qi Rui, the 14th prince of the Qi dynasty, who had a very low status. Sending Qi Rui was purely to make up the numbers. This time, someone has really managed to obtain the Sky Sun fruit. At the start, the 7th prince Qi Feng's expression was very calm. However, when Qi Rui said this, his expression finally changed, and a look of shock appeared in his eyes. An Alliance disciple has obtained first place in the Alliance hunt and has accumulated more than 10,000 points? In the Alliance hunt, only those who fulfilled this condition could obtain the Sky Sun fruit. That's right. Qi Rui nodded his head. That person is a disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. He is a one-god mid-Dharma adept, and in this alliance hunt, he has accumulated more than 40,000 points and successfully obtained the Sky Sun fruit. As soon as Qi Rui finished speaking, Qi Rui subconsciously shouted, What did you say? More than 40,000 points. He thought that he had heard wrongly. It was only after Qi Rui confirmed it again and again that he realized that he had not heard wrongly. Furthermore, he had also found out from Qi Rui what had happened. Zhou Dongwang is a Dharma disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. He has trained his Dharma power to the stage of Dharma power control, and that is why he has been able to accumulate so many points in the alliance hunt. Humph! Qi Rui snorted coldly and said with a face full of dissatisfaction, Those people from the various sects of the Alliance actually said that Zhou Dongwang is the first Dharma adept in the Honglio Galaxy to master Dharma power control. In my opinion, in the history of the Qi dynasty, There must have been Dharma adepts who have mastered Dharma power control. It's just that they have not been recorded in history. The more Qi Rui spoke, the more indignant he became. However, Qi Feng did not give him any face at all. He said calmly, "The Qi dynasty has never had a Dharma adept who has mastered Dharma power control. Even the Guangling Academy, which is known to have many more talents than the Qi dynasty, has never had a Dharma adept who has mastered Dharma power control." 26 years old, late Dharma adept who has mastered Dharma power control. When Qi Feng reached the end of his sentence, he was almost muttering to himself. His eyes shone brighter and brighter as he subconsciously clenched his fist. If he could have the help of this person in the future, he would have a greater chance of becoming King Qi. Such an outstanding person, you should have gone to invite him, right? Qi Feng looked at Qi Rui and asked. Yes. Qi Rui nodded his head. At the same time, a look of anger appeared on his face. He is just a kid who doesn't know what's good for him. He directly rejected us. Furthermore, I did not even get to say that the Qi dynasty is willing to pay a price in exchange for the sky sun fruit in his hands, but he immediately rejected me. He did not give us any face at all. That kid deserves to die. Chapter 294. Seventh brother, the reason I came to look for you this time is to ask you to contact your spy in the Lightning Sword sect and ask him to keep an eye on Zhou Donghuang's whereabouts. Once we confirm that he has left the Lightning Sword sect, send someone to kill him. Qi Rui said viciously. He did not only look down on me, but he also looked down on the Qi dynasty. He deserves to die. Furthermore, he clearly does not want to join the Qi dynasty. Who knows if he is planning to join the Guangling Academy? The Guangling Academy is the Qi dynasty's enemy. The Qi dynasty will definitely not let the Guangling Academy have him. Since the Qi dynasty cannot have him, then we will destroy him. Qi Rui's tone was resolute, as if he had some deep hatred for Zhou Donghuang. However, after listening to Qi Rui's words, Qi Feng's expression remained calm. 14. Did you not treat him with enough sincerity when you invited him and neglected him? True geniuses are arrogant, and they are amenable to persuasion but not coercion. Qi Feng was a genius himself, and he was one of the most outstanding princes of the Qi dynasty. Naturally, he knew how arrogant a genius like Zhou Donghuang of the Lightning Sword sect was. Seventh brother, you were not there at that time. If you had been there, you would have killed him with a single slap. Qi Rui said. Let's put aside the matter of killing him for now. You have not reported this matter to father, have you? Qi Feng asked. No. Qi Rui shook his head. Qi Rui shook his head. Uncle Chu Wei and I just came back. According to him, this matter should be reported to father by seventh brother. He really knows how to behave. Qi Feng smiled lightly. All right, you don't have to worry about this matter anymore. I will report this to father now, and then I will make a trip to the Lightning Sword sect to personally invite Zhou Donghuang. What if he still refuses? Qi Rui asked. He felt that Zhou Donghuang would never agree to join the Qi dynasty. If he refuses, then just as you said earlier, if you cannot have him, then destroy him to prevent him from becoming a threat in the future. As Qi Feng finished speaking, his eyes were filled with murderous intent. Late at night, under the moonlight, the galaxy teleporter outside the Jihan sect's base welcomed an uninvited guest. It's time to leave. The beautiful young woman in a green dress, after sighing softly, stepped onto the galaxy teleportation array and chose to teleport indiscriminately. Even she didn't know where her destination was for the time being. This woman was none other than Luo Qinghan, a disciple of the Jihan sect. Another indiscriminate teleportation caused Luo Qinghan's thoughts to wander subconsciously. A few years ago, she had been transported to the Xium planet because of the indiscriminate teleportation by the galaxy teleporter, where she had formed an ill-fated relationship with the youth named Zhou Donghuang. In her eyes, it was an ill-fated relationship. He had thought that after leaving the Xian planet, he would never be able to see him again. However, she had not expected that the other party had not only appeared before her eyes, but had also given her father, her grandmother, and all sorts of benefits. Luo Qinghan would never be able to repay those favors in this lifetime. It was said that graceful and virtuous women were sought after by gentlemen. Even women would be tempted by outstanding youths and handsome geniuses. Was she attracted to Zhou Dongwang? This was a question that even Luo Qinghan herself could not deny. Perhaps we will never meet again in this lifetime, or perhaps we will meet again in the future, and by then, I will have already caught up to you. If there really is such a time, perhaps I will not be as cautious as I am now. I, Luo Qinghan, will never forget the promise I made to you. Whether you live or die in the future, even if an outstanding man appears by my side, I will not have anything to do with him. As she muttered to herself, a white figure appeared in Luo Qinghan's mind. And this white figure, although almost identical to Zhou Donghuang's physique, wore a grimacing mask that covered the face, making it difficult to tell who it was. It was Zhuge Haotian. Whoosh! When the galaxy teleportation array flashed, Luo Qinghan's figure immediately disappeared, as if she had never been there. Not long after Luo Qinghan left, in the Jihan sect, other female disciples finally found her letter, and the news of her departure also reached the ears of the Jihan sect leader, Meng Yuping, in a short period of time. Although Luo Qinghan's talent in the Jihan sect was not bad, there were many talented disciples in the Jihan sect, and Luo Qinghan could not be considered very outstanding. At most, she could be considered a passable inner sect disciple. If it had been any other inner sect disciple who left without saying goodbye, as the Jihan sect leader, Meng Yuping would not have taken it to heart, and the others would not have reported it to her. But Luo Qinghan was different. Luo Qinghan might not be very talented in martial arts, and it would be difficult for her to achieve much in the future. But the problem was that her man was Zhou Donghuang, the genius of the Lightning Sword sect. As long as Luo Qinghan was in the Jihan sect, the Jihan sect was equivalent to half a home for her. In the future, if Zhou Donghuang achieved anything great, besides taking care of the Lightning Sword sect, he would definitely not mistreat the Jihan sect. But now, Luo Qinghan had left without a trace, leaving only a letter. Sect leader, could Luo Qinghan have gone to the Lightning Sword sect to look for Zhou Donghuang? The Jihan sect elder who had come to report the news guessed. Come with me to the Lightning Sword sect. Meng Yuping's eyes flashed. If Luo Qinghan is in the Lightning Sword sect, make sure she comes back with us. I can take her in as a disciple, and she will enjoy the best treatment in the Jihan sect. Zhou Donghuang's martial arts talent was too dazzling. Now, while Zhou Donghuang had not grown up, she and the Jihan sect could still use Luo Qinghan to get closer to Zhou Donghuang. Once Zhou Donghuang grew up, she and the Jihan sect would not be able to get close to him. Without any hesitation, Meng Yuping brought the Jihan sect elder, who had come to report the news out of the Jihan sect, and used the galaxy teleporter to teleport to the Tailao planet, outside of the Lightning Sword sect. Then, they went directly to the Lightning Sword sect. Luo Qinghan? Hearing that Luo Qinghan had left the Jihan sect, the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing, could not help but be stunned. He then said to Meng Yuping, Sect leader Meng, I don't know much about this either. Why don't you let me go to the Autumn Valley and ask Valley Head he? If Luo Qinghan came to the Lightning Sword sect, she would definitely go to the Autumn Valley, because Zhou Donghuang is there. Yu Yuqing said. Sect leader Yu, if it is convenient, I would like to go with you. Meng Yuping said. Hearing this, Yu Yuqing looked deeply at Meng Yuping, then finally nodded. All right. The Autumn Valley head, He Jin, was also a little confused by Meng Yuping's visit. However, after hearing that Luo Qinghan had left the Jihan sect, he shook his head. She did not come to the Autumn Valley. As for Zhou Donghuang, he has been in seclusion recently, and I did not hear that he brought Luo Qinghan here. Finally, He Jin brought Meng Yuping to Zhou Donghuang's residence. Zhou Donghuang, who had been concentrating on his training, was also startled awake. Did something happen to her? This was the first thing that came out of Zhou Donghuang's mouth when he saw the Jihan sect leader, Meng Yuping. He had never had any dealings with the Jihan sect leader, Meng Yuping. Since she had personally come to look for him, it must have something to do with Luo Qinghan. She did not come to look for you? When Zhou Donghuang had walked out of the room, Meng Yuping's gaze had been fixed on his face, as if she was trying to read something from his face, but in the end she did not see what she wanted to see. No. Zhou Donghuang shook his head and frowned at the same time. What happened to her? She left the Jihan sect, but before she left a letter saying that if there was a chance in the future, she would repay the Jihan sect's kindness in nurturing her. As Meng Yuping spoke, she took out the letter that Luo Qinghan had left and showed it to Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang glanced at it and kept it. Perhaps she went home. Of course, it is also possible that she did not go home. Do you know where her home is? Meng Yuping asked. Yes. Zhou Donghuang nodded. Then, together with Meng Yuping and He Jin, they made a trip to the Tianxian planet of the Luoha galaxy and went to the Luo family. However, just as Zhou Donghuang had guessed, they did not return to the Luo family. What happened? Whether it was Luo Wuchen, the head of the Luo family, or Luo Qinghan's grandmother, Li Yu, when they heard that Luo Qinghan had left the Jihan sect and had not been heard from again, their expressions changed completely. When she heard about Zhou Donghuang's stunning performance in the alliance hunt, Li Yu smiled bitterly. That girl is good at everything, but she is too stubborn. Actually, I could tell from the start that she had feelings for you, Donghuang. Ever since she was young, she has never felt that women were weaker than men. You are too outstanding, and she probably does not like you. She probably left the Jihan sect to go somewhere else to see if there is a chance for her to catch up to you. After all, staying in the Hongliu galaxy is destined to live in your shadow. If there was anyone in the world who understood Luo Qinghan the best, it would definitely be Li Yu, her grandmother. Even her father, Luo Wuchen, could not compare. I hope that Qinghan is safe and sound. Luo Wuchen also smiled bitterly as he looked at Meng Yuping and thanked her profusely. Sect leader Meng, you are the sect leader of the Jihan sect. I am truly grateful that you have personally come to look for my daughter. A divine transformation adept had come to the Luoha galaxy, to the Tianxian planet, and to the Luo family, for the sake of his daughter. If this news were to spread, it would shake the entire Tianxian planet and even the Luoha galaxy. After all, there were no divine transformation adepts in the Luoha galaxy. You are too kind, sect leader Luo. Meng Yuping smiled slightly. She did not look down on Luo Wuchen just because he was a Dharma adept. Instead, she appeared to be very approachable. If Qinghan ever returns, please let her know and let her return to the Jihan sect. Before she left, I had already planned to take her in as my disciple. It's just that before I could announce it, she had already left the Jihan sect. If she returns, please tell her that as long as she returns to the Jihan sect, we will do our best to nurture her. Chapter 295. Zhou Donghuang ignored Meng Yuping's passionate attitude. In his previous life, he had seen too many opportunistic people, and many of them were like Meng Yuping. Why was Meng Yuping so interested in Luo Qinghan? Why was she so polite to Luo Wuchen and Li Yu? He was well aware of the reason for this. Chief Luo, old Madam Li, I will take my leave now. Before Meng Yuping left, she first bid farewell to Luo Wuchen and Li Yu, then to Zhou Donghuang and He Jin, who were standing beside them. Only then did she leave and head towards the nearest galaxy teleporter. Because she planned to teleport directly outside the Jihan sect, she did not travel with Zhou Donghuang and He Jin. Chief Luo, old Madam Li, I will take my leave as well. After Meng Yuping left, Zhou Donghuang also said goodbye to the two of them, then left with He Jin under their complicated gazes. Looking at Zhou Donghuang's disappearing figure, Luo Wuchen sighed. I still prefer him calling me father-in-law. I don't know how you raised your daughter. She rejected such a good husband and is still trying to be brave. When he has so many wives and concubines, let's see if she regrets it. Li Yu snorted coldly as she glared at Luo Wuchen. Luo Wuchen was speechless. Mother-in-law, Qing Han grew up with you. You could say that she was taught by you, right? How can you blame it on me? Of course, Luo Wuchen only dared to say these words in his heart, not out loud. Regardless of seniority, he was no match for Li Yu in terms of ability. Although he had already reached the ultimate Dharma stage, his mother-in-law, Li Yu, had already reached the primordial soul stage, becoming the first primordial soul adept of the Tianxian planet in 1,000 years. Of course, he was the only one who knew about this. /B Valley Head. On the way to the Galaxy Teleporter, Zhou Donghuang could not help but ask He Jin, Valley Head, tell me, what does it mean to like a woman, and what does it mean to fall in love with a woman? In his opinion, since He Jin had a biological daughter like his third senior sister, even though his wife had passed away, he must have had experience in this area. Unlike him, who had no experience in this area, he was completely lost. What does it mean to like a woman? Falling in love with a woman? U001F. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, He Jin's eyes narrowed. Liking a woman and falling in love with a woman are two completely different concepts. Liking can be a simple liking, but it can also be liking because you want to possess her, or it can even be liking because you want to turn it into love. As for love, this concept is somewhat difficult to express. When two people fall in love, perhaps it's the state where they're ready to stay together for the rest of their lives and neither of them can leave the other. He Jin said. What about you and third sister's mother? Zhou Donghuang asked. Mengxi's mother. In an instant, He Jin opened his eyes, a look of reminiscence flashing in his eyes. Her mother was only a disciple of a small sect. Her talent in martial arts was only average. It was a complete coincidence and accident that I met her. When Mingxi was 10 years old, I was being chased by my enemies, and I only had one chance to escape. At that time, my family of 3 was there, and with my abilities, I could only bring Mingxi away safely. Of course, I could not give up on her, but at the critical moment she chose to kill herself. As he spoke, He Jin's eyes revealed a pained look. That scene is still unforgettable. If not for the fact that I still have to seek revenge for her in the future, I would have followed her to the afterlife. Valley Head. Only then did Zhou Donghuang remember that in his previous life, third sister had mentioned her biological mother to him, including the fact that her biological mother had sacrificed herself to save her and her father. However, because this was a distant memory, Zhou Donghuang had not been able to recall it in time. Otherwise, he would not have brought up this topic with He Jin, as it was tantamount to rubbing salt in the wound. It's all right. Before Zhou Donghuang could apologize, He Jin had already interrupted him. Even if you did not mention this matter, I would still occasionally think about it. Although it has been more than 20 years, every time I think about it, it still feels like it was right in front of my eyes. Do you think what happened between me and Mingxi's mother was love? He Jin looked at Zhou Donghuang and asked. Of course it counts. Zhou Donghuang nodded. Although he did not know much about the relationship between a man and a woman, He Jin's wife had sacrificed her life for He Jin, and He Jin would often think of his wife in pain. If this was not love, what else could be called love? Zhou Donghuang, He Jin asked, you are asking this because of Luo Qinghan? Zhou Donghuang was taken aback. Was it that obvious? However, he still nodded. If it had been any other young man, faced with such a question, perhaps he would have blushed and avoided answering. However, although he was only in his 20s, his memory spanned over 1,000 years, and naturally he would not be embarrassed by such a question. I'm not too sure about the situation between you and her, so I can't give you any advice. He Jin said, however, I can ask you a few questions, and from that, I can deduce the situation between the two of you and then give you an appropriate suggestion. Zhou Donghuang's eyes lit up. Go ahead. If you saw her acting intimately with other men, would you be unhappy or even angry? He Jin asked. Almost as soon as He Jin finished speaking, an image appeared in Zhou Donghuang's mind. Luo Qinghan acting intimately with other men, talking and laughing. Instantly, he felt an inexplicable anger rise in him, and his expression changed. He could not control it at all. When he regained his composure, his expression gradually returned to normal. He Jin saw his expression, and at the same time, he sighed to himself. It looks like that girl Mingxi really has no chance. Although Zhou Donghuang treated He Mingxi as a senior, and He Mingxi treated Zhou Donghuang as a junior, and neither had any ulterior motives, as He Mingxi's father, He Jin, had thought of finding an opportunity to matchmake the two of them. He could see that Zhou Donghuang was a dragon who would one day soar into the sky. If his daughter could get hold of him, she would definitely follow suit in the future. Of course, although he had thought of matchmaking them, he had never thought of forcing it. Not to mention anything else, just based on Zhou Donghuang's personality, even if his daughter was only Zhou Donghuang's senior, Zhou Donghuang would definitely not mistreat his daughter in the future. The last time, before the alliance hunt outside the Guiyao planet, Zhou Donghuang had stood up and said that Luo Qinghan was his woman, and He Jin had basically given up on matchmaking Zhou Donghuang with his daughter. Now, it could be said that he had completely given up on that idea. Looking at your expression just now, were you imagining what I said just now? He Jin asked, wanting to confirm it further. Zhou Donghuang nodded. He Jin nodded as well. From your expression just now, I can tell that you either like her, or you are possessive and will not allow any man to touch her. Either way, it shows that you care about her. Now, let me ask you the second question. If she is in danger, the kind where her life is in danger, and even if you intervene, you will most likely die. Will you choose to ignore it, or will you save her? He Jin asked again. Zhou Donghuang imagined it again. His rationality told him that in that kind of situation, choosing to turn a blind eye and protect himself before taking revenge afterwards was the correct choice. However, as long as he thought about it, he would only have a slim chance of survival if he had acted, and it was not certain that he would have died. There was still a chance of saving Luo Qinghan. In such a situation, he could not choose to ignore it. Even if he had the rationality of 1,000 years in his previous life, he could not do it. I will intervene. When Zhou Donghuang responded to He Jin again, his voice was slightly raspy. He Jin nodded again. Your answer to this question is enough to show that you care about her very much, to the point that you are willing to risk your life for her. Cherish it. He Jin advised him before continuing. The second question, if it was just an independent question, you would probably intervene even if it was Mingxi, much less Luo Qinghan. But the second question, combined with the first question, is different. At least, if you saw Mingxi being intimate with another man, you would not be angry, right? I don't know what happened between you and Luo Qinghan, but based on the current situation, you care about her very much. Perhaps even you do not realize it, but she already has a certain place in your heart, and it is irreplaceable. Cherish it, don't miss it. After He Jin said this, Zhou Donghuang remained silent, but he had already made up his mind. Perhaps I really made a mistake previously. She has distanced herself from me, and what I need to do is not to cooperate with her, but to find a way to get close to her. I hope that nothing bad will happen to her this time. Zhou Donghuang had just returned to the Lightning Sword sect, returned to the Autumn Valley, and was about to return to his residence to practice when he was called out by He Jin once again. Zhou Donghuang, the seventh prince of the Qi dynasty, Qi Feng, arrived not long after we left, and he has been waiting for you. I just heard from the elders in the valley about this, and the sect leader asked the elders to tell me that I must personally bring you to meet him, and then to meet the 7th prince of the Qi dynasty. He explained the reason for his visit. Someone from the Qi dynasty again? Zhou Donghuang frowned. Didn't the 14th prince come the last time? Now I have already consumed the sky sun fruit, and I cannot go to the Qi dynasty. Can the sect leader directly reject him on my behalf? He smiled bitterly. Zhou Donghuang, come with me. This time, the 7th prince of the Qi dynasty and the 14th prince of the Qi dynasty who came the last time are siblings, but their positions in the Qi dynasty are worlds apart. If King Qi had a choice, he would rather give up 10 14th princes than give up on the 7th prince. Chapter 296. Zhou Donghuang was naturally not interested in meeting the 7th prince of the Qi dynasty. However, in the end, in order not to put He Jin in a difficult position, he still followed He Jin to meet the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing. Zhou Donghuang, although this person from the Qi dynasty is a brother from the same mother as the previous one, their status in the Qi dynasty is worlds apart. Therefore, if he wishes to see you, I will not be able to reject him. Yu Yuqing smiled bitterly. Of course, regardless of whether he wants you to go to the Qi dynasty or if he wants your sky sun fruit, you can reject him. All you have to do is meet him. This is also. Before Yu Yuqing could finish, Zhou Donghuang interrupted him. Sect leader, bring me there directly. I am in a hurry to go back and train. All right. Hearing the impatience in Zhou Donghuang's voice, Yu Yuqing felt a little helpless. If it was the 14th prince of the Qi dynasty, he would definitely reject him on Zhou Donghuang's behalf. However, this time, it was the 7th prince of the Qi dynasty. The 7th prince of the Qi dynasty had a status in the Qi dynasty that was no less than that of the Guangling Academy elder from the Dongfang Academy. 7th prince, this is Zhou Donghuang, a disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. Zhou Donghuang, this is the 7th prince of the Qi dynasty, Prince Qifeng. Yu Yuqing brought Zhou Donghuang to meet the 7th prince of the Qi dynasty and introduced him to the two of them. Zhou Donghuang glanced at Qifeng and realized that this 7th prince, who had a high status in the Qi dynasty, was much more humble than the 14th prince, who had a low status in the Qi dynasty. When Zhou Donghuang looked at Qifeng, his face was filled with a warm smile, as if he was bathing in the spring breeze, unlike the 14th prince, who had an overbearing air. Behind Qifeng there was another old man. This old man was skinny, and when he stood next to the tall Qifeng, he did not seem to exist. However, as the old man stood there with his eyes closed, he gave off an unfathomable aura. Zhou Donghuang was almost certain that this old man was a divine transformation adept. And this is the 8th elder of the Qi dynasty, Elder Qi Yuankai. Yu Yuqing continued to introduce the old man behind Qifeng. The old man opened his eyes at the right time, and his fiery gaze landed on Zhou Donghuang. If it had been any other Dharma adept, he might have been frightened by this sharp gaze, but Zhou Donghuang did not move, and his expression was as calm as ever. Elder Qi Yuankai is also a soul formation cultivator. As he spoke, Yu Yuqing mentioned the old man's level of practice, and it was just as Zhou Donghuang had guessed. Yes. However, in the face of a divine transformation adept, Zhou Donghuang still had a calm expression, as if he would be able to maintain his composure even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him. This also caused the old man, Qi Yuankai, to look a little surprised. If you have something to say, just say it. I'm in a hurry to go back and cultivate, said Zhou Donghuang as he glanced at Qifeng. He did not put on any airs just because Qifeng was the 7th prince of the Qi dynasty. In his previous life, Zhou Donghuang had dominated the universe for thousands of years. Not to mention the princes of the dynasties in the Hongliu galaxy, even the princes of the dynasties in the top galaxies could not make him bow down to them. Brother Donghuang is indeed obsessed with cultivation. It's no wonder that you have such a high level of practice at such a young age. If the 14th prince of the Qi dynasty, Qi Rui, was present, seeing Zhou Donghuang's attitude, he would definitely have flown into a rage. However, the 7th prince of the Qi dynasty, Qi Feng, was still smiling brightly. Brother Donghuang, this time, I have come on orders from my father to personally invite you to the Qi dynasty. Qi Feng did not beat around the bush as he said, my father has said that as long as you are willing to go to the Qi dynasty, you will be able to enjoy the same treatment as the most outstanding disciples of the Qi dynasty. The Qi dynasty will do their best to nurture you and will not neglect you just because your surname is not Qi. Furthermore, my father has personally said that he is willing to accept you as his godson. The first part of Qi Feng's words was still acceptable, and Yu Yuqing did not seem surprised. However, the latter part of his words shocked Yu Yuqing. The number one figure of the Qi dynasty, King Qi, had actually personally said that he was willing to accept Zhou Donghuang as his godson? Who was King Qi? He was a figure who stood at the pinnacle of the Hengliu galaxy and was one of the two most powerful people in the galaxy. Such a figure had actually said that he wanted to accept Zhou Donghuang as his godson? If Zhou Donghuang had already grown up and was strong enough to hold his own in the Hengliu galaxy, that would not be a problem. However, the problem was that although Zhou Donghuang had displayed exceptional talent, he had not yet grown up. As he secretly gasped, Yu Yuqing subconsciously looked at Zhou Donghuang, his eyes filled with unease. He knew that if he were Zhou Donghuang, he would definitely be tempted by Qi Feng's words. If he became the godson of the number one figure of the Qi dynasty, not only would he be able to do whatever he wanted in the Hengliu galaxy, he would also receive the full support of the Qi dynasty. He would be able to enjoy the best training resources and environment. Now, he was really worried that Zhou Donghuang would be tempted away. However, in the next moment, as Zhou Donghuang spoke, he completely relaxed. At the same time, his heart was filled with shock. He even felt that he had lived for so long, but his understanding was still not as good as that of a young man in his 20s. Not interested. Zhou Donghuang did not even think about it and directly rejected him. Brother Donghuang, won't you consider it? Qi Feng's eyes narrowed slightly, and the smile on his face faded slightly. Of course, if one did not look closely, one would not be able to see this slight change. If you can become my father's godson, your status in the Qi dynasty will be equal to that of the princes. Furthermore, the training resources that you will enjoy will not be comparable to what the Lightning Sword sect can give you. Qi Feng continued to tempt Zhou Donghuang. Equal to you? Zhou Donghuang laughed and then his eyes narrowed. Does that mean that I also have the opportunity to become the next King Qi and rule the Qi dynasty? Zhou Donghuang. Yu Yuqing's expression changed drastically. He had never imagined that Zhou Donghuang would suddenly say such a thing, and it was such a taboo. The smile on Qi Feng's face also completely froze. How dare you? The old man behind Qi Feng, Qi Yuankai, shouted with a cold look in his eyes. The inner yuan around his body vibrated, and it was as if he would attack Zhou Donghuang at any time. Seeing this, Yu Yuqing hurriedly stood in front of Zhou Donghuang and stared at the old man, ready to receive the old man's attack at any time. Qi Feng raised a hand to stop the old man, and at the same time, he looked deeply at Zhou Donghuang. Brother Donghuang, I'm afraid this is not possible. The Qi dynasty has a rule that every king of Qi must be of the direct bloodline of the Qi family. Otherwise, no matter how outstanding he is, he will not be able to become the next king of Qi. In the past, the founder of the Guangling Academy was extremely talented, and his fame even surpassed that of the Qi dynasty's founder, King Qi. However, even he was limited by his bloodline and could not become the next king of Qi. That was why he left the Qi dynasty to found his own sect and founded the Guangling Academy. As Qi Feng spoke, a cold light flashed in the depths of his eyes. Zhou Donghuang's expression, which had been calm all this while, finally showed some signs of change. After all, the Guangling Academy originated from the Qi dynasty? Now, the Guangling Academy was the only existence in the Hongliu galaxy that could rival the Qi dynasty. In the Hongliu galaxy there were three top forces: the Qi dynasty, the Guangling Academy, and the Alliance. As for the various sects in the Alliance, they could only be considered the top sects in the Hongliu galaxy. In terms of individual power, the Qi dynasty and the Guangling Academy were above them. I was just speaking casually, and you took it seriously? Zhou Donghuang smiled lightly. Even if everyone in the Qi dynasty invited me to become King Qi, I would not be interested. So what if I stood at the top of the Hongliu galaxy? The Hongliu galaxy is just a lower middle galaxy in the boundless universe. Even if your current King Qi is not bad, as long as you give me 10 years, I, Zhou Donghuang, will be able to surpass him. Zhou Donghuang spoke once again, clearly disdainful of the position of King Qi of the Qi household. Such arrogance! The old man behind Qi Feng, Qi Yuankai, was once again angered to the point where his blood boiled. Finally, it was Qi Feng who shook his head slightly, calming his anger. Brother Donghuang, you have great ambitions and are worthy of respect. However, great ambitions do not mean that you will be able to achieve them. However, I will still wait and see. The smile on Qi Feng's face was almost non-existent, and after saying this to Zhou Donghuang, he bade farewell to Yu Yuqing and left with the old man behind him. As for Yu Yuqing, he finally recovered from the shock that Zhou Donghuang's words had brought him. Surpassing the current King Qi in 10 years? This was too much of a boast, wasn't it? This was the only thought in Yu Yuqing's mind. Although Zhou Donghuang's martial talent was extraordinary in the Hongliu galaxy, even so, it was impossible for him to surpass the current King Qi's power in 10 years. King Qi was one of the two most powerful beings in the Hongliu galaxy, and he was at least at the late divine transformation stage, the kind that was infinitely close to the ultimate divine transformation stage. There was even a rumor going around, whether it was King Qi of the Qi dynasty or the dean of the Guangling Academy, they were both at the ultimate divine transformation stage, but they did not reveal their powers in front of others, so everyone thought that they were only late divine transformation adepts. Of course, this was a rumor after all, and the truth could not be confirmed. Farewell, sect leader. As Zhou Donghuang bade farewell to Yu Yuqing and returned to the Autumn Valley, the two men from the Qi dynasty had already left the Lightning Sword sect's base and arrived at the nearby galaxy teleporter. Seventh Prince, that rascal is too presumptuous. He's just a young lad, and he dares to say that he will surpass King Qi in 10 years' time. This is an insult to King Qi's authority. Qi Yuankai said angrily, "You should not have stopped me from attacking him." Attack him? Qi Feng turned to look at Qi Yuankai. Eighth Elder, are you confident that you can defeat Yu Yuqing? Hearing this, Qi Yuankai was first taken aback, and then he shook his head. Chapter 297. Although Qi Yuankai was an early divine transformation adept, his ability could only be considered average among early divine transformation adepts. Yu Yuqing was the leader of the Lightning Sword sect. Although he was also an early divine transformation adept, as the leader of one of the top sects in the Hongliu galaxy, he would definitely have some trump cards that the Lightning Sword sect had passed down. If he really fought, he had no confidence at all. In fact, even he felt that he was more likely to lose. Since Eighth Elder has no confidence in defeating Yu Yuqing, I'm afraid you won't be able to hurt Zhou Donghuang, who has Yu Yuqing's protection. Qi Feng said. Isn't there still you, Seventh Prince? Qi Yuankai said. Me. Qi Feng shook his head. Eighth Elder, when we left just now, there was someone standing outside the door. Did you notice? Yes. Qi Yuankai nodded. A middle-aged man who looked ordinary. Ordinary. Qi Feng smiled. Eighth Elder, if I'm not wrong, that man was the Autumn Valley head of the Lightning Sword sect. He Jin, one of the strongest primordial soul adepts in the sect, and Zhou Donghuang is a disciple of his Autumn Valley. The Valley Head actually personally accompanied the leader of the Lightning Sword sect to send Zhou Donghuang here. Qi Yuankai frowned. Not to mention anything else, Zhou Donghuang's achievements at such a young age are unprecedented in the Hongliu galaxy. If we only talk about the primordial soul adepts in the history of the Hongliu galaxy, it would not be an exaggeration to say that he is the most talented person in the history of the Hongliu galaxy. Qi Feng was obviously not surprised. It's normal for the Lightning Sword sect to value such a rare talent. Not only did he reject Seventh Prince, but he also blasphemed King Qi. Are we just going to let this matter go? Qi Yuankai frowned, his eyes filled with indignation. The moment he rejected me, he was already a dead man. Qi Feng's tone was calm, as if he was talking about something unimportant. Eighth Elder, after we return this time, it will not be long before Zhou Donghuang will no longer exist in the Hongliu galaxy, or even the boundless universe. Hearing this, Qi Yuankai's eyes lit up. Do you need me to do it personally? He naturally understood the meaning behind Qi Feng's words. Why use a sledgehammer to kill a chicken? Qi Feng said plainly. No matter how talented he is still just a Dharma adept. He is not worthy of the divine transformation adepts of the Qi dynasty. In front of Zhou Donghuang, Qi Feng had always been amiable, and now, as he spoke calmly, it was as if he had already awakened to Zhou Donghuang's fate. Seventh Prince is right. Qi Yuankai smiled. He is indeed not worthy of me personally dealing with him. To Zhou Donghuang, the arrival of the seventh prince of the Qi dynasty, Qi Feng, was just a small interlude that did not affect him much. After returning to his residence in the Autumn Valley, he continued to cultivate and digest the power of the Sky Sun Elixir. Now, he had already consumed 3 Sky Sun Elixirs to boost his Green Dragon Dharma power, White Tiger Dharma power, and Vermilion Bird Dharma power, which had already entered the late Dharma stage. However, while he was boosting his 3 Dharma powers, the effects of the 3 Sky Sun Elixirs had also seeped into the Black Tortoise Dharma power, which had yet to enter the late Dharma stage. Thus, the Black Tortoise Dharma power had also successfully entered the late Dharma stage 2 days ago. It feels like they are sharing the power of the Sky Sun Elixir? After cultivating for a few more days, Zhou Donghuang gradually realized this. He did not hold back any longer and consumed the remaining Sky Sun Elixir to help the 4 Dharma powers cultivate. During this process, he could also clearly feel that the 4 Divine Beast Dharma powers had already absorbed the medicinal power of the Sky Sun Elixir to a certain point. After absorbing the medicinal power of the 4 Sky Sun Elixirs, consuming another Sky Sun Elixir wouldn't be of any help to them. 1 Dharma power corresponds to 1 Sky Sun Elixir, Zhou Donghuang thought. Initially, Zhou Donghuang was still thinking that since the Sky Sun Elixirs could be shared by the 4 Dharma powers, he could consume all the Sky Sun Elixirs he had and let them absorb them. That way, his level of practice would definitely increase even more. However, the truth was that he had been thinking too much. Even though the 4 Divine Beast Dharma powers could share the power of the Sky Sun Pill, the power of the Sky Sun Pill that was distributed to each Dharma power could only be the power of 1 complete Sky Sun Pill. They could not absorb any more. Forget it. Even so, it is enough for my 4 Dharma powers to break through to the ultimate Dharma stage in a short period of time. The 4 Dharma powers had all broken through to the ultimate Dharma stage. Coupled with the divine will that only primordial soul adepts could form, Zhou Donghuang was confident that he could kill as many adepts below the primordial soul stage as he pleased. He would not even have to worry about running out of energy. With 1 Dharma power attacking, the other 3 would constantly absorb the spirit energy in the surroundings to recover. With this cycle, it was basically impossible for them to run out of energy, unless they attacked in a specific area where there was no spirit energy. Thinking about the scene of the four Dharma powers breaking through to the ultimate Dharma stage, even with Zhou Donghuang's 1,000 years of memories, he could not help but feel excited and expectant. In his previous life, when he had reached the ultimate Dharma stage, the geniuses of the big sects and big clans had been able to crush him at the same level of training. This had made him deeply feel the vast difference between the techniques they trained in and the rest of them. But in this life, the tables had turned. He, Zhou Donghuang, trained in the Lord of the Four Supremes, and when he fought with people of the same level of practice, he was destined to have the upper hand. While Zhou Donghuang was training hard, both De Zhuang and He Mingxi were not idle either. After consuming the Sky Sun elixir, they began to train in seclusion. Within the Autumn Valley, it was peaceful and quiet. Within the Lightning Sword sect, it was also very quiet. 3 months later, a man dressed in a long green robe, with a head of snow-white hair and the appearance of a young man, appeared in the nearest galaxy teleporter outside the Lightning Sword sect base. Then, he glanced in the direction of the Lightning Sword sect base. In a flash, he had already entered the Lightning Sword sect base. From the beginning to the end, the group of elders and disciples patrolling the Lightning Sword sect did not notice this person. Is this the Autumn Valley? Not long after, the white-haired, white-browed young man had already arrived outside the Autumn Valley, carrying a Lightning Sword sect disciple. Yes, Senior. The Lightning Sword sect disciple that the young man was carrying was only an outer sect disciple. Towards this white-haired young man, who had sealed the inner yuan in his body with just a lift of his hand, the disciple was filled with fear. This was because the young man only needed to lift a finger to kill him. Do you know where the Autumn Valley disciple, Zhou Donghuang, lives? The white-haired young man asked. His tone was indifferent and did not contain any emotion. Senior, I don't know. Why don't you find an Autumn Valley disciple and ask? The outer sect disciple said nervously. He was deeply afraid that the person in front of him would kill him because he did not know what the young man wanted to know. This was because he had heard that many strong people were temperamental, and they killed people as if they were cutting grass. The young man replied calmly and released the outer sect disciple. At the same time, he no longer sealed the inner yuan in his body. You can go now. As he said this, the young man flicked his finger and shot out a spirit stone. The outer sect disciple instinctively caught it. When he saw the spirit stone clearly, his eyes narrowed, and a look of shock and surprise appeared on his face. This is an ultimate spirit stone? One should know that one supreme spiritual stone was equivalent to 10 upper spiritual stones. He's so generous. If I go to the elders and sell him out, wouldn't that be a little unfair? The outer sect disciple was a little hesitant. However, in the end, he still decided to tell the elders of the outer sect about this matter. An outsider had intruded into the Lightning Sword sect, and although it seemed like he was only there to look for Zhou Donghuang, no one knew whether this was a blessing or a curse. If it was a disaster, then with his warning, the Lightning Sword sect would be able to avoid many losses. Perhaps he would even be granted special entry into the inner sect, or even receive a reward that was worth far more than a premium spirit stone. When the outer sect disciple regained his senses, he realized that the white-haired young man had already disappeared. He hurriedly rushed back to the outer sect and reported the matter to an outer sect elder. What? An outsider intruded? And he went to the Autumn Valley to look for Zhou Donghuang? The outer sect elder also realized the seriousness of the matter and did not dare to hesitate. He hurriedly went to the residence of the Lightning Sword sect leader to report the matter. Anyone who could intrude into the Lightning Sword sect without being discovered would not be simple. This was because there were at least 3 late primordial soul adepts among the patrolling elders of the Lightning Sword sect every day. Otherwise, they would be patrolling in 3 directions. Furthermore, the various formations that the Lightning Sword sect had set up were very mysterious. Even ultimate primordial soul adepts might not have the ability to intrude into the Lightning Sword sect without being detected. At the same time, the Autumn Valley. Zhou Donghuang. When Zhou Donghuang was startled awake by the noise coming from outside the door, he was in the midst of further refining the 4 divine beast Dharma powers that had all broken through to the ultimate Dharma stage. He was certain that he had never heard the noise coming from outside before. However, when he heard the person call him, he leaped off his bed and pushed the door open. When he reached the courtyard, he saw a young man already standing there. The young man had a head of white hair that flowed down his back like a waterfall. He had a pair of straight white eyebrows, and his face was cold and handsome. He looked like someone of the same age. "You are?" Zhou Donghuang's expression became serious, and he could not help but reveal a look of fear in his eyes as he looked at the young man in front of him. /B Although the young man in front of him looked like an ordinary person, Zhou Donghuang's divine will was using a secret divine will technique. Without alerting the other party, it was difficult for him to get within 3 meters of the other party. He was completely blocked out. What did this mean? Only someone whose divine will surpassed the person using the secret divine will technique by an entire stage could do this. Now, Zhou Donghuang was 100% sure, based on the strength of the other party's soul, he was at least an early divine transformation adept. Chapter 298. Guangling Academy, Lu Pingxing. The white-haired youth stared at Zhou Donghuang with a heated gaze. Without any warning, he lifted his hand and a powerful inner yuan swept out towards Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang did not expect his opponent to attack without any warning, and his face darkened. However, when he realized that his opponent was controlling his strength, a glint of light flashed in his eyes. Then, the white tiger Dharma power appeared on his body. It was the first time the white tiger Dharma power had appeared. This was the first time Zhou Donghuang's white tiger Dharma power had made a move after breaking through to the ultimate Dharma stage. Roar! The white tiger Dharma power roared and struck out with its claws. It was as if it carried with it an invincible force, directly destroying Lu Pingxing's inner yuan. The entire process was as easy as crushing dry weed. "You've actually broken through?" Lu Pingxing's voice was filled with surprise, and his gaze became heated. At the same time, he attacked again, and an even more powerful inner yuan howled out towards the white tiger Dharma power. Then, the inner yuan turned into a rope in midair, intending to bind the white tiger Dharma power. After the inner yuan turned into a rope, its speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, it had circled the white tiger Dharma power once and was about to bind it. At this moment, with a thought from Zhou Donghuang, the white tiger Dharma power turned into a ray of light, like a shooting star in the night sky. In a flash, it had successfully escaped the binds of the inner yuan rope. "It really is Dharma power control," Lu Pingxing exclaimed. At the same time, he dispersed the inner yuan that he had released. The inner yuan that had turned into a rope disappeared without a trace, as if it had never been there. Seeing that his opponent had stopped, Zhou Donghuang also withdrew his white tiger Dharma power. At the same time, he frowned slightly and looked at his opponent impatiently. "If you are here to persuade me to enter the Guangling Academy, I'm afraid you have come for nothing. As for the Sky Sun Fruit, I have already consumed it. Otherwise, I would not have been able to enter the ultimate Dharma stage in such a short period of time." Just now, when his opponent had attacked, although he had suppressed his inner yuan, with Zhou Donghuang's experience, it was not difficult to see. This Lu Pingxing was a late divine transformation adept. If that wasn't the case, he wouldn't have bothered to say so much to the other party. Based on the level of practice of the person in front of him, if he really wanted to kill him, even the most powerful mid-divine transformation elder in the entire Lightning Sword sect would not be able to save him. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, Lu Pingxing's expression did not change. "I am not here to persuade you to enter the Guangling Academy, nor do I want you to hand over the Sky Sun Fruit. Lu Pingxing's words stunned Zhou Dongwang. If it was not to persuade him to enter the Guangling Academy or for the Sky Sun Fruit, then why was this divine transformation adept of the Guangling Academy looking for him? Dongwang. Just as Zhou Dongwang was in a daze, an anxious voice sounded from afar. Following which, a figure rushed over at lightning speed. In the blink of an eye, he had already arrived outside Zhou Dongwang's residence. Seeing that Zhou Dongwang was fine, he heaved a sigh of relief. The person who had come was none other than the Autumn Valley head, He Jin. He Jin? Seeing He Jin appear in front of Zhou Dongwang, shielding him behind him, Lu Pingxing said with some surprise, "You little brat, you've actually reached the divine transformation stage so quickly." Little brat. Hearing Lu Pingxing's words, Zhou Dongwang could confirm that Lu Pingxing's seniority was higher than He Jin's. Of course, he had already guessed this. After all, this person who called himself Lu Pingxing was a late divine transformation adept. Even if he was from the Guangling Academy, he could not be young. "You are?" Seeing that the other party had recognized him, and even called him a little brat, He Jin was stunned for a moment. Then, he looked at the other party's face. Although he felt that he had seen this person somewhere before, he could not recall where he had seen him. Lu Pingxing said calmly, "When you were young, you followed your grandmaster to the Guangling Academy to ask for elixirs. We met once." As soon as Lu Pingxing said this, the memories of He Jin's youth surfaced in his mind. Immediately, his face was filled with shock. You are Senior Lu Pingxing?" At this moment, He Jin finally remembered why the person in front of him seemed so familiar. It turned out that when he was young, he had seen this person once. At that time, the person in front of him looked just like this. Unexpectedly, after so many years, he had grown from a youth to a middle-aged man, but this person had not changed at all. It was as if time had not left any marks on his face. "It's rare that you still remember me." Lu Pingxing smiled lightly. "I heard that you are now the head of the Autumn Valley of the Lightning Sword sect? I never thought that the little brat from back then would be able to hold his own now. This Zhou Dongwang, is he a disciple of the Autumn Valley?" As soon as he said this, Lu Pingxing's gaze turned to Zhou Dongwang, and his eyes burned with passion. "Yes, senior." After recognizing Lu Pingxing, He Jin's attitude became much more respectful. At the same time, he introduced Lu Pingxing to Zhou Dongwang. "Dongwang, this is the honorary dean of the Guangling Academy, Dean Lu Pingxing." As soon as he said this, he added, "Dean Lu Pingxing is very knowledgeable and has a high status in the Guangling Academy. No one can compare to him. Even the dean of the Guangling Academy is very respectful to him, treating him as a teacher and a father." In just a few words, He Jin had revealed Lu Pingxing's background to Zhou Dongwang. Zhou Dongwang was slightly shocked. He had not expected Lu Pingxing to have such a powerful background. It could be said that he stood at the peak of the Hongliu galaxy. Furthermore, the dean of the Guangling Academy respected him as a teacher and a father? As far as he knew, the dean of the Guangling Academy was considered to have a high status among the various forces in the Hongliu galaxy. This seemingly young white-haired youth was respected as a teacher and a father by the dean of the Guangling Academy. Didn't that mean that his status was even higher? Zhou Dongwang. At the same time, a hurried voice came from the skies above the Autumn Valley. Following this, two figures flew into the Autumn Valley and arrived at Zhou Dongwang's residence in the blink of an eye. One of them was the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing. As for the other person, he was an old man with white hair and brows. Although he looked old, his eyes were bright and full of energy. Even the average young person might not have this kind of energy. At this moment, Yu Yuqing was following behind the old man. "Senior uncle." Seeing the old man, He Jin hurriedly stepped forward and bowed respectfully. At the same time, he greeted the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing. Zhou Donghuang's gaze also subconsciously fell on the old man, and he could vaguely guess his identity. This old man was most likely the mid-divine transformation adept of the Lightning Sword sect, the most powerful person in the Lightning Sword sect. Who are you? Why have you trespassed into the Lightning Sword sect? Because Lu Pingxing's back was facing Yu Yuqing and the old man who had just arrived, neither Yu Yuqing nor the old man in front of him could see Lu Pingxing's true appearance. They all looked at him with unfriendly gazes. Just as He Jin was giving Yu Yuqing a look, and Yu Yuqing did not have time to react, Lu Pingxing spoke. His tone was as calm as before. Even when Yu Tsang was still around, he did not dare to question me like this. Yu Tsang really has a good disciple. Yu Tsang, the Lightning Sword sect's previous leader, was also Yu Yuqing's senior uncle. In fact, Yu Yuqing was an orphan that Yu Tsang had brought back from his travels. Later, he became the disciple of one of Yu Tsang's disciples and became Yu Tsang's disciple. Yu Tsang had already left the Hongliu galaxy many years ago to pursue the separating divinity stage. Now, hearing the person in front of him call out his senior uncle's name and say that even his own senior uncle would not dare to question him like this, Yu Yuqing's expression instantly turned serious. When he spoke again, there was a tinge of fear in his tone. Sir? Sir, you are? Immediately after, under the gaze of Yu Yuqing and the old man in front of him, Lu Pingxing slowly turned around. When they saw Lu Pingxing's face, both Yu Yuqing and the old man in front of him narrowed their eyes, and they froze on the spot as if they had been electrocuted. After a moment, it was the old man who first regained his senses and bowed respectfully to Lu Pingxing. Lan Gui greets senior uncle. When the old man spoke, Yu Yuqing immediately came to his senses, and Yu Yuqing also followed suit and bowed to Lu Pingxing. Yu Yuqing greets senior uncle Lu Pingxing. Who was Lu Pingxing? He was the honorary dean of the Guangling Academy, a late divine transformation adept, and also the person with the highest seniority in the Hongliu galaxy. Even the dean of the Guangling Academy had to respectfully address Lu Pingxing as teacher when he saw him. Yu Yuqing had never imagined that the person who had barged into the Lightning Sword sect would be this person. At the same time, he secretly wiped away his cold sweat for his rashness just now. He hoped that this person would not hold a grudge against him and forgive his rudeness. Otherwise, even if he were to be slapped to death here and now, the Alliance would not stand up for him. The Alliance was able to resist the two transcendental forces of the Hongliu galaxy. However, once the matter involved this person, it was a different story. This person's matter was enough to cause the entire Guangling Academy to go crazy, and even the Alliance had to avoid him. If it was just the Guangling Academy, it would not be a big deal. It was said that the current Qi king of the Qi dynasty also respected this person as his teacher. Not to mention that there might not be any ultimate divine transformation adepts in the Hongliu galaxy now, even if there were, in terms of influence and power in the Hongliu galaxy, they would not be able to compare to this person in front of him, even if he was only a late divine transformation adept. Not to mention the fact that this late divine transformation adept had once killed an ultimate divine transformation adept who had crossed a galaxy to the Hongliu galaxy to seek revenge on the Qi dynasty, and his power was no weaker than that of an ultimate Dharma adept. Just the fact that the leader of the two transcendental forces in the Hongliu galaxy held such a high position in the hearts of the leaders of the two transcendental forces in the Hongliu galaxy was enough for his influence and power to dominate the entire Hongliu galaxy. Elder, why did you come to our Lightning Sword sect? And he has come for Zhou Donghuang. What is he doing here? At this moment, Yu Yuqing's heart was filled with too many questions. Chapter 299. Lu Pingxing, this name, in the Hongliu galaxy, represented transcendence. He was even more transcendental than the two transcendental forces. This name, in the Hongliu galaxy, was not only synonymous with transcendence, but it was synonymous with invincibility. However, this person usually lived in seclusion within the Guangling Academy and rarely ventured out. In the past few hundred years, no one had heard of him venturing out, and as early as 1,000 years ago, when he first appeared in the Hungliu galaxy, he was already a late divine transformation adept. Now, other than the heavens, perhaps only he himself knew how strong he was. Of course, the current Zhou Donghuang did not know this. Otherwise, he would definitely feel that he had made the wrong judgment. Just now, he had observed Lu Pingxing's inner yuan, and based on his profound knowledge from his previous life, he had determined that Lu Pingxing was a late divine transformation adept. 1,000 years ago, he was already a late divine transformation adept. 1,000 years later, he was still a late divine transformation adept? Unless there was a special reason, this was impossible. Dharma adepts had a lifespan of 600 years. Once they entered the primordial soul stage, their lifespan would increase by another 400 years. This was also why primordial soul adepts were commonly known as 1,000-year-old adepts. When the primordial soul entered the divine transformation stage, their lifespan would increase by another 500 years. The maximum lifespan of a divine transformation adept was 1,500 years. As for the separating divinity adept and above the divine transformation stage, their lifespan would increase by another 500 years to 2,000 years. Once they became a heavenly adept, their lifespan would increase by another 1,000 years to 3,000 years. As for the deity tribulation adepts, those who entered this stage would either die during the deity tribulation, or they would pass the deity tribulation and ascend to the ethereal divine realm to become a divine being. A divine transformation adept who was still alive and had been a late divine transformation adept 1,000 years ago meant that he had entered the late divine transformation stage before he was 500 years old. Such a person would still be at the late divine transformation stage 1,000 years later? Even in the Hungliu galaxy, the possibility of such a thing happening was extremely small. Senior, I wonder, why have you come to the Lightning Sword sect? Lan Gui, the most senior person in the Lightning Sword sect and the most powerful person of the current generation, looked at Lu Pingxing with a respectful expression and asked respectfully. At that moment, be it Yu Yuqing or He Jin, they all looked at Lu Pingxing nervously. Right now, they all felt as if they couldn't breathe properly. This was because the person in front of them was too special. His status was special, and his power was unfathomable. In a fit of rage, a single word from him would be enough to wipe out the entire Lightning Sword sect and end its legacy in the Hungliu galaxy. Don't panic. Lu Pingxing glanced at Lan Gui and said slowly, I am here to look for Zhou Donghuang. I have no intention of doing anything to the Lightning Sword sect. Now, I have something to say to Zhou Donghuang, please excuse me. As soon as Lu Pingxing finished speaking, Lan Gui nodded and retreated immediately. At the same time, he looked at Yu Yuqing and He Jin with a warning look in his eyes. Yes, senior. Yu Yuqing also acknowledged and retreated. Donghuang. As He Jin retreated, he looked at Zhou Donghuang and said, This is Senior Lu Pingxing. He is the current dean of the Guangling Academy and the current king of Qi of the Qi dynasty. You must not neglect him. Besides repeating Lu Pingxing's position in the Guangling Academy, He Jin also mentioned Lu Pingxing's position in front of King Qi of the Qi dynasty, reminding Zhou Donghuang. He Jin reminded Zhou Donghuang because Zhou Donghuang's personality was too casual, and he was worried that Zhou Donghuang would anger him. Faced with He Jin's repeated reminders, Zhou Donghuang only nodded slightly. However, he could not help but feel surprised. This white-haired youth before him was not only popular in the Guangling Academy, but also in the Qi dynasty? If that was true, wouldn't he be able to do whatever he wanted in the Hungliu galaxy? Is there something you need from me? If He Jin had known that after he, Yu Yuqing, and Lan Gui had retreated, Zhou Donghuang had not only spoken first, but had also spoken to Lu Pingxing in such a cold tone, He would have been so shocked that his heart would have jumped out of his chest. Lu Pingxing was someone who, even when his teacher was still around, had to address him respectfully as senior. However, faced with Zhou Donghuang's rudeness, Lu Pingxing was not the least bit displeased. Instead, he smiled at Zhou Donghuang and asked directly, "Do you believe that when Dharma adepts train their Dharma power control is not the end and limit?" Zhou Donghuang was stunned. He had never expected Lu Pingxing to suddenly ask such a question. As far as he knew, in the recorded history of the Hongliu Galaxy, there had never been a Dharma adept who had trained their Dharma power to the level of Dharma power control. He was the first one. But now, this divine transformation adept from the Guangling Academy had suddenly asked him this question? Zhou Donghuang looked at Lu Pingxing from head to toe. This fellow, when he was at the Dharma stage, he probably had not even mastered Dharma power control, right? How dare he ask Zhou Donghuang if he believed that Dharma power control was the limit for Dharma adepts? It was as if an adult had come up to him and asked him, "Do you believe that a 3-year-old child can lift a heavy object? At least, I have never heard of a Dharma adept who has trained their Dharma power to a level that surpasses Dharma power control." This was Zhou Donghuang's reply to Lu Pingxing. Lu Pingxing was not surprised by Zhou Donghuang's reply. That is because, in the recorded history of the boundless universe, there has never been a Dharma adept who has been able to take that most crucial step. For example, the Dharma adepts of the Hongliu Galaxy are usually unable to master Dharma power control due to their innate talent and lack of training resources. In contrast, in those galaxies that are rich in resources, although there are Dharma adepts who have mastered Dharma power control, they usually do not have much time to delve into the deeper mysteries of Dharma power. Of course, there are countless galaxies in the boundless universe. There are definitely many Dharma adepts who have mastered Dharma power control and still want to improve their Dharma power. However, after they have wasted a period of time, they will either doubt themselves and rush to enter the divine transformation stage, or their elders will not want them to continue down the wrong path and force them to enter the divine transformation stage. Lu Pingxing paused and looked at Zhou Donghuang. "What do you think of some Dharma adepts' obsession with training their Dharma power beyond Dharma power control?" "I don't agree." Zhou Donghuang shook his head. Since there has never been a Dharma adept who has been able to take that step in the recorded history of the boundless universe, it is still unknown whether or not that step can be taken. If there is a goal, then there is still something to work towards. If there is no goal, it is very difficult to take the next step. Not only is it difficult to break through, but it is also a huge test of one's mentality. At least, even though Zhou Donghuang had 1,000 years of memories from his previous life, he had never heard of anyone who could train their Dharma power to a level that surpassed Dharma power control. Dharma power control was already the publicly acknowledged limit of Dharma power that could be trained to Dharma power. "You are very clear about this." Lu Pingxing's eyes flashed and he sighed. "And the facts have proven that this is indeed the case. Let me ask you a question as a Dharma adept. If you knew that training your Dharma power to the extreme was not Dharma power control, but something even more profound, what would you do? Just like you right now." Without waiting for Zhou Donghuang's reply, Lu Pingxing added, "Furthermore, if you know that in the Dharma stage, if you can master a technique that surpasses Dharma power control, you will be able to build a strong foundation for yourself. No matter how poor your training method is, no matter how poor your foundation is, you will still have 100% chance of entering the deity's tribulation stage. What would you do?" Originally, Zhou Donghuang had only wanted to say that he would do what he could and not let the technique after Dharma power control slow down his progress and affect his future training. However, when he heard Lu Pingxing's last sentence, he was stunned. In the Dharma stage, if he could master a technique that surpassed Dharma power control, no matter how poor his training method was, he would still have 100% chance of entering the deity's tribulation stage? Was this possible? If this was really possible, it could indeed be called a strong foundation. But was this possible? This was too unrealistic, wasn't it? What are you trying to say? Zhou Dongwang looked at Lu Pingxing with a serious expression. He could tell that there was a hidden meaning in Lu Pingxing's words. Lu Pingxing sighed. 1,000 years ago, when I was still a Dharma adept, I accidentally entered a place where an ancient person had died. There, I did not obtain any treasures. His space ring had long been taken away by someone, and all that was left was a small booklet that recorded his years. At the end of every year, he would leave his years in the booklet. In the booklet, he described his life ever since he could remember. It was also at that time that I found out that in ancient times, there were many talented humans who were able to train their Dharma power to the stage of divine Dharma power. Divine Dharma power is a technique that Dharma adepts can master that surpasses Dharma power control. As Lu Pingxing spoke to this point, his expression became complicated. When I left that place, I accidentally triggered a formation and was completely destroyed, but that booklet was brought out by me. That booklet, no one believed that it was real. Only I, who had been to that place, could confirm through the corpse that the ancient person had left behind that he was indeed someone from a long, long time ago, someone from ancient times before history was cut off. But no one believed what I said, let alone that the pamphlet was a prank. Even though they did not believe it, I, who had personally experienced it, had no choice but to believe it. Furthermore, at that time, I was still an ultimate Dharma adept who had trained his Dharma power to the stage of Dharma power control. You can imagine, after experiencing all that, my desire to master the technique of divine Dharma power, which was above Dharma power control. In my sect, I was originally one of the best of the younger generation. However, because of this obsession, I stayed in the ultimate Dharma stage for more than 500 years. Just before I was about to die, I finally entered the primordial soul stage. At that time, those of the same generation as me, those who were not as good as me in the past, had basically all entered the divine transformation stage. A few of the more outstanding ones had even entered the separating divinity stage. Chapter 300. Of course, I do not regret it. If not for the fact that my lifespan had come to an end, I would not have broken through to the primordial soul stage, because that would have meant that my hundreds of years of perseverance would have been wasted. At this point, Lu Pingxing's tone changed, and there was a tinge of unwillingness in his voice. You can imagine how I felt at that time. Hundreds of years of perseverance, all for nothing, and those who were not as good as me in the past were now far more powerful than me. At that time, I chose to leave the sect. After that, when I was traveling, I met two people. They were from the Honglio galaxy. One was from the Qi dynasty, and the other was from the Guangling Academy. The three of us traveled together for a long time, until the three of us were ambushed, and the two of them risked their lives to protect me as I escaped. That was how I managed to survive. Lu Pingxing sighed, and his eyes revealed a tinge of nostalgia. I had known them for many years, and I knew that although they were outside, they were worried about their descendants in the Honglio galaxy, so, after I avenged them, I came to the Honglio galaxy, intending to protect their descendants for 1,000 years before leaving. 1,000 years passed in the blink of an eye. I had already planned to leave the Honglio galaxy in a few days to look for Dharma adepts who were talented and intelligent, and who had mastered Dharma power control. I wanted to impart my knowledge to them, and see if anyone could fulfill my unfulfilled wish. I did not expect to hear about you just as I was preparing to leave. At this point, Lu Pingxing looked at Zhou Dongwang with a tinge of surprise in his eyes. To be honest, after hearing about your performance in the Alliance hunt and your achievements at such a young age, I was very surprised. Not to mention the Honglio galaxy, even in the galaxy where my sect was located, which was many times richer than the Honglio galaxy, there are very few young geniuses as talented as you. Furthermore, they grew up in that galaxy from a young age, and the training resources that they enjoyed were not something that you could compare to. It is also because of this that I see potential in you. Now, you should have guessed why I came to find you, Lu Pingxing asked. As for Zhou Donghuang, halfway through Lu Pingxing's explanation, he was already extremely shocked. If what Lu Pingxing said was true, then he was definitely not just a late divine transformation adept. In fact, he could not even be an ultimate divine transformation adept. At the very least, he was a dividing divinity adept that was above divine transformation adepts. 1,000 years ago, before he reached the end of his lifespan, he stepped into the primordial soul realm, which meant that he was already close to 600 years old. Furthermore, later on, he had accompanied the people of the Qi dynasty and the Guangling Academy who had left the Hongliu galaxy for a period of time. This meant that 1,000 years ago, he was already more than 600 years old, or perhaps even older. The maximum lifespan of a soul formation cultivator was 1,500 years. Unless he cultivated a technique like the technique of everlasting youth, but that was basically impossible. That was because in his previous life, he had never heard of a technique other than the technique of everlasting youth that could extend one's lifespan. You came to me because you want to impart your understanding of the past to me so that I can continue to refine my Dharma power and see if I can master the technique of devouring Dharma power? It was not difficult for Zhou Donghuang to guess what Lu Pingxing was thinking. That's right. Lu Pingxing nodded. From now on, I will stay in the Lightning Sword sect for a period of time, until I have personally imparted to you everything that I have learned over the past few hundred years. Only then will I leave. Hearing Lu Pingxing's words, even though Zhou Donghuang's heart was as calm as still water, he could not help but inwardly gasp. In fact, when Lu Pingxing had said that if he could master the technique of devouring Dharma, no matter how poor the technique was, he would still have 100% chance of entering the deity's tribulation stage, he had already been tempted. The Lord of the Four Supremes that he was currently cultivating could only allow him to cultivate to the primordial soul stage at most. There was no further cultivation technique that he could cultivate. If he wanted to continue cultivating, he would have to create a follow-up cultivation technique. And this path, even for someone like him who had 1,000 years of memories, was extremely difficult. And if the divine Dharma power was really that incredible, once he mastered it, he would not need to create a new technique at all. He would be able to use the divine Dharma power to train all the way to the deity's tribulation stage. I want to confirm something, Zhou Donghuang said bluntly. Once I train my Dharma power to the point of mastering the divine Dharma power, no matter how poor the technique is, I will still be able to enter the deity's tribulation stage. For example, the technique that I am practicing now can only be trained to the primordial soul stage at most, and there is no follow-up technique. Under the circumstances that I do not change to another technique, once I master the divine Dharma power, I will also be able to enter the deity's tribulation stage? Faced with Zhou Donghuang's question, Lu Pingxing looked at him in surprise. The technique that you are practicing can only be trained to the primordial soul stage? Yes. Zhou Donghuang nodded. That is really a coincidence. Lu Pingxing shook his head and smiled. Coincidence? Zhou Donghuang was a little confused. He did not know what Lu Pingxing meant. Did you know that in ancient times, even the best techniques that humans practiced could only be trained to the primordial soul stage? Lu Pingxing sighed. This I learned from the booklet that the ancient people left behind. However, even so, the best of the ancient people were still able to enter the deity's tribulation stage. This was because when they were at the Dharma stage, they could train their Dharma power to the point of mastering the divine Dharma power. With the divine Dharma power technique, even if they entered the primordial soul stage, they could still form a primordial soul Dharma power and devour the heavens and the earth. They could forcefully absorb the spirit energy from the heavens and the earth, and they could even use spirit stones and spirit crystals to train. After they entered the primordial soul stage, their training method was very straightforward. They relied on the divine Dharma power to aid their training. Even if the average Dharma adept mastered Dharma power control, when they entered the primordial soul stage, their Dharma power technique would not be of any use, and they would not be able to form another Dharma power. However, Dharma adepts who mastered the divine Dharma power, even if they entered the primordial soul stage, could use their primordial soul as a foundation to form another Dharma power. This type of Dharma power is also known as the primordial soul Dharma power. At this point, Lu Pingxing paused for a while before continuing. In the past, when I first found out about this, I was also extremely shocked. I never imagined that the best training method in the ancient times could only be used to train up to the primordial soul stage. In the ancient times, a technique that could be used to train up to the ultimate primordial soul stage was already the best technique, and it was as rare as a phoenix feather or a unicorn horn. Furthermore, the techniques that could be used to train up to the primordial soul stage in the ancient times were different from the techniques that can only be used to train up to the primordial soul stage in our era. Even for those who practice the deity's tribulation techniques in our era, when they are at the primordial soul stage, or even the Dharma or primal core stages, if they were to meet an ancient primordial soul practitioner of the ancient primordial soul stage, they would also be badly beaten. For those who practice the primordial soul stage techniques in our era, even if they enter the primordial soul stage, they may not be a match for those ancient primordial soul practitioners who practice the ancient primordial soul stage techniques to the ultimate Dharma stage. The disparity is too great. The techniques of that era were far more powerful than we imagined. Hearing Lu Pingxing's words, Zhou Donghuang's eyes uncontrollably narrowed, and his heart trembled. Lu Pingxing's words were like a bolt of lightning that broke through the thick fog in the depths of his heart. Ancient primordial soul stage techniques? If everything that Lu Pingxing said was true, then the Lord of the Four Supremes, that he was practicing could very well be an ancient primordial soul stage technique from the ancient times? Furthermore, it was a top-notch technique from the ancient times that was as rare as a phoenix feather or a unicorn horn. This was because the Lord of the Four Supremes could be practiced all the way to the ultimate primordial soul stage. Everything that you said was recorded in that small booklet? Zhou Donghuang asked to confirm. Yes. Lu Pingxing nodded. Although the history of the ancient times was cut off, the words of that time were still different from the words of the present. You can recognize them? Zhou Donghuang asked again. You even know this? Lu Pingxing was shocked. He had never imagined that Zhou Donghuang, who was from a small galaxy like the Hungliu galaxy, would know about this. In the sect that I was in, there were records of deciphering the words of the ancient times. When I was young, I was also very interested in this area, so I can recognize the words of the ancient times. Lu Pingxing said. Can I take a look at that small booklet? Zhou Donghuang's eyes flashed. Although it was difficult for him to speak, he finally spoke. That's not a problem, but can you understand it? Lu Pingxing looked at Zhou Donghuang suspiciously, obviously not believing that Zhou Donghuang could understand the words of the ancient times. Yes. Zhou Donghuang nodded. In his previous life, he had been fortunate enough to come into contact with a few stone tablets that had been passed down from the ancient times. Because he was curious about what was written on the ancient words, he had specially looked for people who understood the ancient words and learned them from them. However, those stone tablets only recorded some sloppy and ordinary things, and they didn't bring him any fortuitous encounters. As Zhou Donghuang nodded, Lu Pingxing had already taken out a small booklet from his space ring. The paper that was woven into the booklet was made of an unknown material. Although it looked simple and ancient, there were no signs of decay or damage on it. What is written on the cover? Lu Pingxing did not rush to hand the booklet over to Zhou Donghuang. Instead, he held the booklet facing Zhou Donghuang, obviously intending to test him. Hearing this, Zhou Dongwang looked at it and instantly recognized the words on it. Once a year, Yunyi. Almost as soon as Zhou Dongwang finished speaking, Lu Pingxing had already lost his composure and exclaimed, You can really recognize it? The booklet in his hand was left behind by an ancient person named Yunyi. And on the cover were the words that Zhou Dongwang had said. Chapter 301. As Zhou Dongwang took the booklet and flipped through it, Lu Pingxing stared at him unblinkingly, his eyes filled with shock. Even he had spent tens of years before he could master some of the commonly used ancient word. Yet, this young man in front of him seemed to be only in his 20s? He could actually understand the ancient words on the booklet? Furthermore, looking at his expressionless face, it was obvious that he had not encountered any words that he did not recognize. Even he could only roughly understand the contents of the booklet. There were some rare words that even he did not recognize, as there were no records of these rare words in the ancient words that he knew. Do you recognize these words? As Zhou Dongwang flipped to another page, Lu Pingxing pointed to a few words on the page and asked Zhou Dongwang one by one. As for Zhou Dongwang, he translated those words to Lu Pingxing, causing Lu Pingxing to be dumbfounded once again. The way he looked at Zhou Dongwang became even more complicated. Where did this young man come from? Not only did he have amazing martial arts talent, but he could also recognize ancient words? Based on the current situation, Zhou Dongwang's mastery of ancient words far surpassed his. Zhou Dongwang flipped through the booklet very quickly. In the blink of an eye, he had flipped through more than 200 pages. At the same time, he confirmed that what Lu Pingxing had said earlier was true. The Lord of the Four Supremes that he practiced could basically be confirmed to be an ancient primordial soul level technique. In ancient times, primordial soul level techniques were the best of the best. As for primordial soul techniques that could be cultivated to the ultimate primordial soul realm, in ancient times, they were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. To think that Earth has such a top ancient technique like the Lord of the Four Supremes, it looks like many years ago, Earth may have had its glory days. It's even possible that there was once a group of extremely talented practitioners on Earth. Zhou Dongwang's heart skipped a beat as he guessed to himself, those ancient myths and legends on Earth may be true. It looks like I'll have to return to Earth earlier in the future and take a good look around Earth to see if there are any other things left behind by the ancient practitioners. In his previous life, it was fine that he didn't know that Earth had top-notch techniques from ancient times. Now that he knew about it, he had to take a good look around Earth to see if he could unearth more things. Perhaps the Lord of the Four Supremes, an ancient primordial divinity cultivation technique, was just the tip of the iceberg. I'm grateful that you're willing to pass on to me the insights you've gained from studying divine Dharma aspect for hundreds of years. However, if I don't see any hope, I won't continue to persevere like you. I'll still break through to the primordial soul realm. As he returned the booklet to Lu Pingxing, Zhou Dongwang reminded him, If you insist on me training my Dharma power to that extent before I can break through to the primordial soul stage and affect my training, then you don't have to pass on your insights to me. Now, Zhou Dongwang had thought it through. The divine Dharma idol might seem tempting, but it could also be a trap. As such, he had to make things clear to Lu Pingxing in advance, so that Lu Pingxing would stop him from breaking through to the primordial soul stage. He did not want to stay in the Dharma stage for too long. If there was no hope, he would break through his cultivation and step into the primordial soul realm. Haha, hearing Zhou Dongwang's worry, Lu Pingxing laughed. You little rascal, are you worried that I'm stubborn and will use force to control your fate so that you won't be able to break through to the primordial soul stage before you master the divine Dharma technique? Yes. Zhou Dongwang nodded. He had no intention of hiding it. This was exactly what he was worried about. Lu Pingxing was too strong in front of him now. If Lu Pingxing insisted on forcing him, Zhou Dongwang would not be able to retaliate at all. Don't worry. Lu Pingxing shook his head and smiled. I do not intend to rely on you for my entire life. After passing on my many years of enlightenment to you, I will leave the Hunglyo galaxy and continue to look for other Dharma adepts who have mastered Dharma power control. I will pass on my enlightenment to them. To be honest, even though I found you, I was just trying my luck. I don't think that you can really master the divine Dharma technique, Lu Pingxing added. Zhou Dongwang finally relaxed. Hearing this, Zhou Dongwang finally relaxed. At the same time, he looked straight at Lu Pingxing and said seriously, I, Zhou Dongwang, owe you a favor for this. I'll definitely repay you in the future. Hearing Zhou Dongwang's words, Lu Pingxing was stunned for a moment, then he could not help but laugh. Interesting, but if you want to repay me, you'll have to wait until you master the divine Dharma technique. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't be able to repay me. Of course, Lu Pingxing was just saying this casually. He did not take Zhou Dongwang's promise to heart. It was only many years later that he realized how important this promise of the young man before him was. Just like that, Lu Pingxing stayed in the Autumn Valley of the Lightning Sword sect. In order to make it easier for him to interact with Zhou Dongwang, the Autumn Valley head, He Jin, had people expand Zhou Dongwang's courtyard and built an additional room for Lu Pingxing to stay in. Initially, when Lu Pingxing had come to find Zhou Dongwang, He Jin had been worried about Zhou Dongwang's safety. Now, not only was he not worried, he could not wait for Lu Pingxing to stay in the Autumn Valley, or even the Lightning Sword sect for a little longer. It was undoubtedly Zhou Dongwang's great fortune to have such a Buddha stay behind to teach Zhou Dongwang. Of course, the Lightning Sword sect leader also hoped that Lu Pingxing would stay in the Lightning Sword sect. That way, the Lightning Sword sect could become the third transcendental force in the Hunglyo galaxy. Furthermore, as long as Lu Pingxing stayed in the Lightning Sword sect, the two transcendental forces of the Hunglyo galaxy, the Qi dynasty and the Guangling Academy, would not dare to target the Lightning Sword sect. Of course, this was just wishful thinking. Lu Pingxing had only stayed in the Lightning Sword sect for 3 months before leaving. Originally, Lu Pingxing had planned to stay for a few years. However, he did not expect that this martial arts genius of the Lightning Sword sect would be able to understand everything that he had spent hundreds of years studying. He basically did not need to repeat it twice. Finally, as he was leaving, Lu Pingxing had a very strong premonition. This martial arts genius of the Lightning Sword sect might really be able to master the divine Dharma technique and take a historic, crucial step forward. One had to know that since ancient times, there had never been anyone who had trained their Dharma to the point where they could master the divine Dharma technique. Basically, the limit was Dharma power control. I'm leaving. As he left, Lu Pingxing's words were very short. All right. And Zhou Dongwang's reply was also very simple.